everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera passions. I'm your regular host, LeTara, back today with Maria and Uche. Welcome back. Welcome back. Maria, we've seen several times, but Uche, it has been a while. How have you been?
It's been a long time. Life has been lifing. I have been very busy, but I am so glad to be back because I looked back at my last set of notes before I started doing this set of notes, and it's been like 95 episods since I've been back.
Well, yeah, so
not
we're
so
happy
much
to have you
happened.
back.
You didn't miss much.
Honestly,
that's actually so true though. Like you didn't miss much.
The last time I was on, like Theresa was in, she was in jail and she was on death row.
She literally just got out of jail. Like,
right? Yeah,
it's been like 2 days since Theresa gave birth to that baby and got out of jail.
Yeah.
But Maria, I'm as always glad to have you on, and you actually did some of the work that I asked for a viewer to do, right? About the dates.
Yes. So this is one of the longest days. I couldn't say so far because I've only started doing this, but I'm going to start doing this. This day started on October 1st, 2002, and it's episode 825. It doesn't end until November 27th, 2002 at episode 865.
2 months.
This day
in 1 day
lasts 2 days.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy.
Oh, yeah, and so much has happened. I can read them off.
Yeah, tell us what has happened. So much has happened in this one day.
That day starts where Theresa spent all night on that report. If you guys remember, way back when she was trying to impress Alistair, that's where the day started. That's when Antonio decided he wanted to elope with Sheridan, and Beth told him, hey, let's do it as a surprise. Theresa moves into her new office. Ethan buys an engagement ring with the old Gwen. Like, that's how long ago it was. We still had the old Gwen. The elevator accident. We got the new Gwen. We got Beth drugging Luis. We have Simone finding out about Chad and Whitney. Ethan tries to propose to Gwen in the house. Teresa's baby gets sick and almost dies. Ethan tries to propose a second time. Kay seduces Miguel in the hospital shower. Whitney sleeps with Chad, and they decide to tell Antonio the truth, which is sort of where we are now.
Yeah, and Whitney sleeps with Chad again.
Oh yeah, a few times.
Literally, I said it in my notes. I was like, "Oh, Whitney having sex again."
Whitney having sex again. Good for her. Yeah. Good for her. She's a grown woman.
She's getting it. She's getting it. I was like, oh, okay, girl.
Because if she's not in her own storyline, she'll just be following around Theresa.
Yeah, that's correct.
So let her get some.
Yeah, let her get some. So we are talking about episodes 856 through 860. So this day started on, you said 825?
Yes.
And we're ending in 860 today, but we're still going to be in this night next week, which this is the let me tell y'all, I forgot to say this at the top of the show. This is the season finale for the podcast, right? I'm taking a break until I'll be back in September, but this is the last episode until September. We have a watch party, but by the time this comes out, we will have already done one. And then the next one is Thursday, the 24th?
Yeah. No, 26.
26. So, yeah, Tuesday the 24th. I'm sorry, Monday the 23rd and Tuesday the 26th. We're doing watch parties. Even though this is the season finale, you can still join the Patreon over the summer. I'm not charging anybody. So you can join, see what's on there. And
she's good for that, too. She actually doesn't charge y'all.
I actually do not.
You don't believe her.
Thank you. Thank you for the vote of confidence. Yes.
Yes.
I do not charge if I'm not doing anything because I don't think that's fair. So, now
you still do watch parties every once in a while though in the summer, right? Just to connect.
The thing is, I don't feel obligated. Like I might hop on, I might, say like, yeah, let's get together and do something. Yeah. But I don't feel like I have to. So I don't charge anybody, because if I'm charging people, then I'm like, girl, you have to schedule me to watch parties. Yeah, which which they're not damn watch parties. They're a lot of fun. They're one of the main reasons I'm still doing this. I really enjoy it. So,
they are so much fun.
Before we get into the episode, I want to say a shout out to the patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Munashe, Lisa S, Zach, Sid, Sarana, Randall, Hannah, Camelia, Jeanette, Eric, Fantasia, Sean S, Larissa, Maria, Lisa A, Jessica Jean, Laura, Karen, Uche, Justin, Paige, Casey, Garage, Tom Bergeron, Daisy, Shane, Kelly C, Taylor Harris Crane, DJ, Kelly M, Rodo, and Lisa R. Thank you all so much. I got through it. I made it through.
Yay! welcome.
No, thank you all for being patrons and hanging in there and coming out and supporting the show. And we have a good time talking about stuff on the Discord. And on the Discord, we talk about passions, but we also have been talking about Beyond the Gates, which I just want to point out that Maria, if you are not watching, Maria in her background today has like a thing of Tide and a thing of Febreze, Candace Febreze. And that's a nod to Beyond the Gates because in that show, there is so much like incredibly obvious product placement for Tide and Febreze, and it's hilarious every time. And when I saw it today, I cracked up laughing. I was like, I should get mine because that's so good. That's so good. So, yeah, if y'all want to come on out there and to the Discord and chit chat with us about passions, but also Beyond the Gates, there's a separate Discord, just not a Discord, but a channel for Beyond the Gates and a Days of Our Lives chat going on. So. Join at patreon.com/passionspodcast and sign up for whatever tier you find most agreeable. And now on with the show. That was like a very long intro. I feel like we usually get to the episode talking about passions much faster. I'm not mad at it though.
Take your time. This is our last episode before your hiatus. So
that's true.
Just enjoy it.
Do what you want.
True. I'm going to enjoy it. Take my time. So,
you know
what we didn't talk about before we started is the order of this show. I usually say what we should.
That's true.
What order things should be in. You know what? Let's just go in the order that I took my notes, I guess, because, you know what? Yeah, let's do Shuis. Then we'll do Fated Couples, and we'll start with Theresa, Ethan, Gwen. Then we'll get into Chad and Whitney. There's very little Chad and Whitney. There's no magic. And we'll get into Troubled Marriages at the end. Now, there is a little crossover with Troubled Marriages and Shuis because Liz, TC, and Eve are all at the mansion dealing with the Antonio drama.
Yeah.
Once it became like very clearly about Liz and Eve, I just separated it out to Troubled Marriages. So we won't talk about too much about it in the Shuis stuff. So I wish I had a better music for them, but because I don't know what this is anymore. I don't know what this is anymore. There's nothing tender about it.
Well, somebody could argue that the tenderness is Sheridan's like love for Antonio and not wanting to break his heart, but also, girl, we gonna get into it because
and the thing is, at this point, well, we'll get to it, but this night is a wash. Like, I get what Luis is trying to do. I get it and I support it. But this night is a wash, buddy. If I were him, I would ask Eve to just admit what's his name to the hospital so that he can't get his hands on Sheridan. Right? Like, do me a solid. But anyway, let's get into it. We pick up in this storyline and Antonio's having a brain freeze. Brain freeze.
Ice baby.
Ding, 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 ding. He's freezing up and his illness is getting worse, which we knew. I said this last week, I think, that they have like created this like panic around Antonio that is so false because this is simply how illnesses work and time works. Like, you get sicker as time passes, and like we've all known, with the exception of Antonio, we've known for months that he was sick or days, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because it's like this day has lasted forever and his symptoms have just escalated within the same day. Like he went from like, you know, one little brain freeze or like what, 2 months ago to now he's
he's completely blind. Yeah, so his illness is getting worse.
And it's not his first time going blind either.
No. So,
you know, it makes you wonder if he's actually not going blind, but he knows what's going on and he's faking it.
Listen,
selective blindness.
I do honestly, when we get to like the portion where he like goes blind, I do feel like it does feel a little suspicious.
Yeah,
it does feel a little. The timing is suspicious. Yeah,
it's always convenient.
So he's like sick or whatever. Sheridan and Luis are out in like the foyer together having a discussion about telling the truth and telling Antonio that they're in love or whatever. Sheridan says that like we really have to tell him tonight after all those nice things he said. And she recalls his weird ass speech about wherein he says, and you, Sheridan, you make whatever it is that's going on with my brain bearable. Like that's the speech that's making you like you, I don't know. I get it. Like it is sad. I'm making light of it. If it was a real situation, it is very sad. I do understand. It's just so comical. The writing is just so comical that I can't take it seriously. And also I just hate Antonio so much. And so, yeah, she's like, after all those wonderful things he said about us, and she's like, I just can't do this. And she runs off. She runs up the stairs. She goes and looks for, I guess she was looking for Ethan because that's who she finds, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Antonio and Liz have a conversation where Liz is like getting really sad about losing Antonio all over again, and that, you know, she was in love with him. They have a conversation about how she pushed him away and he was in love with her. And if she hadn't pushed him away, that they would still be together because he was in love with her. But court was in session last week. I don't have to play the clips again. I
love that.
Yep.
I've already proven to y'all that is bullshit.
Yeah, it's a rewrite.
Unfortunately,
it's a
rewrite.
It's a rewrite. Yeah, it's a rewrite. And so, but unfortunately, going forward, I guess we have to go with it. I guess. I don't know. I hate it.
I just don't think that they expect the people to remember so much because it's been 20 episodes or more. Now it's been years since that relationship has actually been on our screens.
Right.
So, you know, if someone's new to the show, well, that's now canon. If you're old to the show, you might have forgotten that was canon. Right. So
yeah,
they're just like, we're just going to rewrite it, tweak it a little bit.
You're exactly right. They're just like, we're just going to rewrite it. I think though it's sorry, go ahead, Uche.
I was gonna say, I said it when I was like watching it, I was like, it's a rewrite for the writers. It's gaslighting to us. Like
yes,
straight up gaslighting. Because I was like, this man is truly gaslighting this lady into saying that it was her fault. When I sure as hell remember this man said it was him.
And my thing is, it's like one of the biggest reasons why I don't like Antonio. So that stuck with me, right? That he basically screwed Liz over and then was mooching off of her after breaking up with her and breaking her heart. It's one of the things that I really, really hated about him. So it's not an eat to me, even though, yes, we're watching this a little bit differently than how writers expected people to be watching it. But even back then, I feel like if I was like watching it as an adult, that would have stuck with me. I was like, no, that's not how it went. This is one of the reasons I fucking hate Antonio.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Might have missed that episode, so they're maybe banking that you just didn't see that episode.
That's true. They could be banking that maybe not, because if you missed it, you missed it.
You missed it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? That's such a good point. It's so easy to do rewrites when people if you missed it, you missed it, and there's no seeing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
So,
as someone who saw it first run all the way through.
Yeah. So Sheridan runs off, and Antonio. I'm sorry. I went back. I need to go to the note that I'm on. So yes, Liz and Antonio have this conversation, and she talks about how she can't trust anyone because of this woman who abandoned her and it cost her her one chance at happiness and love. And we will talk more about all of that in the troubled marriages portion of this. Like because that goes on for so long.
Oh my God. I was watching it and I was like, this was supposed to be about Antonio. When did it turn into the Liz pity party?
Yeah. It was crazy. He's dying.
He's literally dying. And she's like, but what about me?
Yeah. Kim, people are dying. he's actually dying. And she's very much like, oh, this lady, this woman. Anyway, so elsewhere, Luis catches up with Pilar and they talk about Antonio, and Pilar is worried about Antonio dying, and Luis says, I get it, but we have to tell him the truth. We owe him that much. So we have to tell him the truth. This will be a constant theme for Luis all night long. Yeah, all night long. All night long. All night. Okay. Party, fiesta, something forever. Drop dead Antonio forever, please. That we can throw a party then. So anyway, Luis, he's standing firm on we must tell Antonio tonight.
He is 10 toes down.
Pilar,
no.
Yeah, exactly.
Do this.
Pilar is very concerned about her son dying, understandably so. But he's like, this is the best thing. The worst thing we can do is to continue lying to him. That's what Luis says to her. And he says, it's hard, but it needs to be done. Later on, Beth also tries to get Luis to continue lying to Antonio. But again, Luis is not having it. He's not having it. He's not hearing any of it. He's like, I get it. My brother might die. I think, too, for Luis is like, I don't want my brother to die. Of course, I don't want him to die. But, you know, the truth is the truth. And he needs to know it. And he's been asking us what's going on constantly. Right. And then the other side of that too is that I don't think Luis has like a very deep connection to Antonio, right? I think he's like, Antonio might die, but he hasn't been around the last 15 years. Didn't miss him.
Didn't miss him much. Yeah. I mean,
didn't miss him. And for him, when they told him he died, he's like, all right, I'm going to cut him off. Done. Die already.
It is what it is.
I grieved, and you haven't died yet, but I already.
You know what?
It.
I think that might be part of it too. I think you're actually like you might be joking, but I think you might be on to something there. Like I feel like Luis has already grieved Antonio.
He went through that years ago, losing his brother, basically being like, okay, we're never gonna see him again. Like whatever happened, he's not coming back. And so for the fact for him to come back and not even just come back, but come back with his girl, this man is like, And like, listen, blood is blood, but blood makes you family, but blood does not mean everything. Because it really does depend on the relationship. And what you have done was strained and what you've done. I mean, everybody acting like this Antonio's this like wonderful human being. The man abandoned his family after his daddy left and abandoned the family. Like
didn't come back with 2 pennies.
Nothing.
And
this mama you love so much, you left her to pay a whole mortgage and do all this stuff, take care of all your siblings, and you
never called, never even sent a postcard just to say I'm alive, right? Yeah.
And mooched off Liz, and now is mooching off Sheridan because he just moved into her place.
Minnie the moocher. Hidey, 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 hi. Hody, 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 ho. He's Minnie the moocher. Because you're right. He mooched off of Liz. He's mooching off of Sheridan. And he's just draining everybody's energy.
When you think about it, the men in this show, most of them are moochers. Like TC living off of his wife, in a sense. Let's be serious, okay? Ethan, when was the last time that man had a job? Okay? I mean, Hank he ain't got nobody, so that's fine. The only one Hank is mooching off of his brother and Grace. Oh, yes, that's right. And then his brother at least has a job and is taking care of his family, trying to keep his family together.
Trying his best.
So Sam the only good one in that sense, but not good at his job. But that's besides the point.
Terrible at his job. Horrible at his job. Yeah.
I mean, the Cranes, they're not mooching.
Yeah, they're not mooching. Julie is just nepotism. He just
exactly.
I think there's a
it's
case
not like
for,
he earned it, but he's not mooching.
Right,
they're
exactly.
They're not mooching. They're just extremely exploitative. So like,
right.
Yeah.
So in a way they are mooching, right? Like, you know, just like draining the community of all its resources. I think
Yes.
they're mooching on a whole other level.
Yeah. There's this patriarchal.
Yeah. So
yes. And Chad is holding his own. He has a place. He works at the book cafe.
That's true.
Yeah, Chad's the anti-moocher. We'll say that for
he
sure.
He works hard for his money.
Yeah,
she
works hard for the money. So hard for it, honey. So yeah, Luis is having conversations with people who are trying to get him to keep lying, and he keeps telling them no. He needs to know the truth. Antonio's stronger than what y'all think he is. Like, he can handle it. And it's like, why else did we throw this fucking party?
Right.
I set up this whole damn intervention. Somebody's going to get told the truth tonight. That's how Luis is feeling. Meanwhile, Sheridan has run off and she has a conversation with Ethan first. And that conversation is really more about Ethan and Theresa and Gwen. They don't talk much about what's going on between her and Luis and Antonio, which is crazy considering Antonio is dying. Like, I feel like her thing takes precedent, but Ethan is really makes it all about him.
Yeah. The only time her stuff would come up was just to say, yeah, I understand. I'm in the same situation. That's it. I'm in the same situation.
He's like complaining about being, he's like complaining about how he has decided to marry Theresa and doesn't want to hurt Gwen. She's a great woman. He loves them both, but he wants to spend his life with Theresa, blah, blah, blah. Right. Yeah. And Sheridan, like you said, Sheridan's like, yeah, I understand. The difference is if I tell Antonio the truth, he'll die. And then Ethan's like, yeah. But Theresa.
Like, these situations are kind of similar.
Like, they're adjacent. They are adjacent. I wouldn't call them parallel. She talks with Ethan for a little bit, but then she has a conversation with Pilar, somebody who gives a shit about how she's feeling. And they just talk about the current situation. And Pilar tells her, you have to believe in miracles. I don't know. This family, these Lopez-Fitzgeralds are, with the exception of Luis, are so delusional sometimes.
Listen. This was, I wrote it down. It said, Pilar says that if it's God's plan that Antonio die, when he hears the news about Sheridan and Luis, that she will not accept it and she can't lose her son. But you just said that you believe that the Lord has a plan and he's already given you miracles. Like, he's given you so many miracles. Why can't he give you not enough? But if he doesn't give you the miracle, you're not going to accept it.
Unacceptable.
Girl, what kind of faith is that? What kind of faith is that?
Yeah.
It's the same kind. That's where like Theresa gets it from. Anything that goes her way, it's fate. When it don't go her way, it's not fate.
It's not fate.
It's just an interlude to fate. Like we're just on a pit stop to my fate.
Yeah.
When it's not going my way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Sheridan, Luis comes in and tells Sheridan, it's time. We have to tell Antonio the truth. And Sheridan agrees. She says, you're right. It's the right thing to do. So then they go downstairs and they're about to tell Antonio in the living room when Beth comes running in. Sheridan, no, stop. You can't. Okay. She's like, stop. And then Antonio's like, what? what's going on? They were about to tell me something, but you told them to stop. Why don't you want them to tell? He like is clued in on the fact that she doesn't want them to tell him something, right? He picks up on it immediately. But when Beth says, oh no, I just thought Sheridan was leaving and I can't find mother and I thought she might know where she is. He's like, oh, okay.
He's somewhere around his house.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense, girl. Why did you run in here yelling? Sheridan, no, stop. Don't. It's like, okay.
Makes sense.
So they don't tell him, of course. And then Antonio goes off with Theresa. And he says to Theresa, she's like, what was that all about? And he's like, I don't know. It seemed like Sheridan and Luis wanted to tell me something, but Beth didn't want them to tell me. It's like, he knows. He knows that something is up.
Yeah. He does.
Yeah, they go, but he goes off with Theresa. They have a little more conversation. Just brother sister conversation is nothing. It is nothing at all. It's literally just a way to get him away from Sheridan and Luis and everybody else, so they can talk about not telling him the truth.
And he is gonna die, but that whole conversation was about her.
Right.
Wait, say that again.
The whole conversation that she pulled him away was like, oh my God, Ethan is gonna propose.
Oh, you're talking about Theresa? Yes.
Yeah.
Look. Here's what I'm gonna say.
He's dying, and you're talking about getting,
Yeah,
getting proposed to.
It's all she can think about. She can't. Her brain cannot handle that. I think she's rejecting the fact that Antonio's dying. Like, I don't think she even believes that it's actually happening. I think she's like, it's not about her. So yeah, and two, Theresa is very much. Anytime something bad is about to happen or is going to happen, she very much is like, no, it's not. I refuse. It will not happen. That won't happen. I promise you it won't happen. So I think I don't know if she really fully believes that Antonio's going to die. I think she's waiting for a miracle like her mama.
She's waiting for a miracle.
Yeah. I think she's waiting for a miracle and believes that because I think at one point she has a conversation with Pilar wherein she tells Pilar, like, Ethan is going to propose to me. That's a miracle. And so miracles do happen. And it's like, Ethan choosing you tonight is not a miracle. A miracle it is not at all.
Your baby coming back from the dead?
That's a miracle.
That's a miracle.
That's a miracle.
That's a miracle.
You want to set it?
Oh. I hit the sedative button. I meant to hit the clapping button. That's a miracle. Your baby coming back from the dead. She doesn't even bring it up.
No. Did Antonio even know that baby died?
No,
he did. He did because he was upstairs when it happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
He was like in the room where it happened, the room where it happened, the room where it happened. Yeah. It's a very musical episode today. I've been singing a lot.
For real.
Okay.
I mean, with the, it has been Hamilton, so
it is Hamilton. Yes. We love. So, where was I? What are we talking about? Who cares?
Theresa.
She pulled them out just so that they can
Antonio.
go and have a conversation in the living room, which is basically, we need to tell him. They came up with this weird theory of he's gonna think that you took her after coming back to Harmony.
Oh, that was Beth.
What?
That was Beth. Because she was asking how Luis was gonna ask, or how Luis was gonna tell Antonio, like, what words specifically are you going to use? And Luis is like, I'm gonna just tell him we're in love, everything is fine, la 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 la.
And her and Sheridan are like, what if he doesn't understand? And Luis is like, what is there to understand? What do you mean? And they're like, well, what if he thinks that you just fell in love just now in the 2 days that y'all been back? Like, he says, what if he believes that y'all just fell in love right now, right? That's what they say. And he's like, I know. And he just leaves.
There's a room full of people that can vouch that they were engaged. She could tell him, how do you think I ended up on that beach? I was on a boat with your brother. We were having our honeymoon of the wedding that didn't happen.
Yep.
Hello. That's exactly what I was like. I was like, why wouldn't they say, like, once they said, oh, if you just tell him you're in love, then he might misunderstand. Then all he has to do is say, Sheridan and I were engaged. I was on the boat that Sheridan was on when it exploded too. And I searched for her and could not find her. If he tells him that, what else is there to understand?
Exactly.
Right? We were engaged and we were on that boat together when it exploded. I've been through a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Antonio is a little dumb that he would start off thinking, oh, you stole my woman.
Right.
But we could explain it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a very quick and easy way of explaining this.
It was in the papers. This is Sheridan Crane.
Yeah.
There's evidence.
There is evidence, in fact, and that's where Luis went to get the evidence.
Shouldn't need it. Shouldn't need
it, but we're going to have to deal with it because he did go and get evidence. So this is when, Luis leaves, right? And this is when there's more like Liz and Eve stuff, but Liz basically tells her story about how her sister left her behind and, left her to the horrors of her home. And when she tried to get her back, she wouldn't come back, right? Antonio tells Sheridan about Liz's sister and all of that thing, right? And he says to her, I just don't know how one family member could do that to another, how one sibling could stab another sibling in the back. I know I could never do that to one of my brothers or sisters. I would rather die than have them suffer at my hand. Bitch, you did exactly that.
Yes.
You actually did exactly what Eve did, which was leave.
Yep.
That's all you know. That's really all you know about Liz's story is that her sister left. And when she tried to get her to come back, she didn't want to come back into her abusive household.
Yeah.
That's all you know about it. So you did the same thing. You left and never came back. Hello? Am I forgetting? I could never do that to any of my siblings. You did it to your siblings and your mama.
You did it.
You did that.
Yeah, you did.
What is he talking about? I could never stab my sibling in the back.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. You did. In fact,
and you did.
It really drives me. That really drove me crazy because, again, I could see if Eve's story was that she had chained Liz up in a basement somewhere, you know what I mean? But that is not what happened. Eve left. She left.
Liz did say that she found her in a bar, that she was a singer and she was doing drugs. But again, she left.
That doesn't have, and that's not anything that she did to Liz. And guess what? Fucking Brian was doing, Antonio was doing. He was living the life of Riley, and he was a gigolo. He was an actual sex worker. Yeah, he was an actual sex worker. Yeah, he was stealing people's pensions and shit.
He was doing some evil, manipulative stuff. At least the stuff that Eve was doing was to herself. Okay,
he was wrapped up in all kinds of bullshit.
Getting involved in some shady ass people.
Yeah. Yeah. He did almost exactly what Eve did. And so the fact that this kind of judgment is coming from him makes no sense to me. If anything, he should have been the one to say, well, what if your sister had a reason? Right? Like, did you ever consider, because Eve says that at some point, but we'll get there.
She tries to sort of play devil's advocate. The whole time she's saying that speech and getting so upset, I was like, Eve needs to give her a sedative.
She needs a sedative. She does need a sedative.
It's like
something
you need
to quiet her nerves.
Exactly.
Something to quiet your nerves.
Yes.
Well, anyway. Sorry. So at this point, everyone gathers around Antonio again because we just keep gathering around Antonio to tell him something. And Luis comes back in with that scrapbook that Sheridan had made for him just in case she died. Remember, that was why she got that made.
Yes.
She's like, I just want to make this book of all our memories just in case I die young.
Yeah.
And then it didn't arrive until after she was dead. But anyway, he comes back with this very nice leather-bound scrapbook, hands it to Antonio. It doesn't say anything. Antonio's like, what's that? And Luis is like, here, take a look. Opens it up. And the very first page is a newspaper article. And the headline on that newspaper article is Sheridan Crane and Luis Lopez-Fitzgerald to wed. It's a picture of these two people. It's an engagement announcement, right? Antonio's like, oh no. I was like, his reaction wasn't big enough. He didn't see it. Or maybe he did and he's faking. Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm starting to think he's faking it.
Yeah.
It's too convenient. Too convenient. He happens to go blind.
The exact moment that he reads the article or sees the article.
Yeah. Or when he was looking at Luis and Sheridan through the window. Remember, he went blind then too.
Yeah. And he was looking directly at them. Yeah. Yes. And it's the same situation where he looks, opens it up, looks direct. And it's like, he didn't have a brain freeze before. Nothing. It just, can't see anything. But yeah, so he has like a reaction that's not big enough for either thing that's happening, right? It wasn't big enough for him if he was finding out that Sheridan and Luis were together, but it also wasn't big enough for him realizing he's gone blind, right? Because he
did it already.
Yeah, I guess.
And he didn't even go to the hospital last time.
And he's like, not going this time
again.
either.
Yeah.
Oh, this again. Just this old pesky little blindness. It comes and goes. He selective blindness. He's like, oh no, I thought Sheridan and I had a long life to live or some bullshit like that. I thought Sheridan and I had more time or something like that. Turns out, like we have already said, he's blind. He says, Luis, because Luis is like, so now you see. Luis says to him, okay, so now you see, because everybody thinks he is seeing what's in the scrapbook. He says, so now you see what's going on. And he says, Luis, I don't see. I can't see anything. I'm blind. I can't. The writing, the dialogue is just so corny sometimes.
Gosh, and, it was funny too because right after this, right before this, Beth was having a moment with her mom where she was telling her mom she was gonna have Luis, even if it meant like selling her soul to the devil. Yeah. And then after Antonio goes blind, she's like, the devil has granted my wish.
Yeah, she was
on one this week.
She really was. She's like grasping at anything to try and keep Luis, this man that does not want her.
Devil, girl.
Wow. She told her, I'll make a deal with the devil if I have to, and that's not the first time she said that.
No, so we're officially down the Beth is losing her damn mind track.
Yes,
and. It's like, this is the crazy, because y'all know I love me some Beth.
Yes.
But I was like, girl, this is too far. I just can't.
It's too far, my love. Too far. Yeah. I mean, it was too far when she was drugging him.
I mean.
Yes.
That was crazy.
Yes.
That was insane.
So Antonio has gone blind. This time, I think it's for good. I have been blind for good. He's blind for good, I think. Sheridan thinks that the shock of seeing that picture made him go blind. Right? Like, she's racked with guilt. This poor woman is so racked with guilt throughout the entire week. And I do get it. I do understand it. To an extent, some of it, I'm like, yeah, he's dying. He's going blind. He's having a real hard time. You do love him. You just don't want to be with him. And it's a hard thing to tell him. I get that. But she was very much racked with guilt. Like, oh my God, this is because of us. He saw that picture and it made him go blind. And Luis is like, if he had seen the picture, I'm sure he would have had a much bigger reaction. Like, he would have said something about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, to Luis's credit, he does say at one point, like, we wouldn't be in this situation if we had just told him at the beginning.
Yes.
When you came out of your Diana-ness and realized you were Sheridan and we found out about all of this, if we had told him then, we would not be at this point where you are literally about to throw yourself off the balcony because you are so upset.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have been dead because he would have then gotten the brain aneurysm, but we would have gotten over it by now.
We would have gotten over it.
Gotten past it. Yeah.
You wouldn't be in this personal pain that you're currently in.
Yeah. I agreed with Luis. They should have told him a very long time ago. Like immediately they should have told him.
I mean, they need to take advantage of his blindness and just switch out Liz with Sheridan, and Liz should just pretend to be Sheridan. Can't see her.
That's what you know. What that's some shit that Passions would write though.
They would.
Like, you know,
Antonio is that stupid. He'll believe it.
That's actually some solid.
Listen,
like,
and that goes back to the history of time. Okay, go back to the Bible, Cain and Abel with the hairy arms and the stuff. They did that just to get a birthright. I mean, we could switch it out.
Yeah, and this show loves a good little biblical moment, right? We could throw it in. Yeah. So Eve examines Antonio, gives him an examination. He asks her outright, "So how am I, Doc? How am I doing?" She says, "I'll tell you when I finish my examination." She gets up and immediately tells everybody else how he's doing. Like, she gets on my fucking nerves. She's such a bad doctor. He has outright asked you, how am I? What's going on? She's like, "Oh, I'll tell you after I'm finished with my examination." Finishes the examination immediately, doesn't tell him a damn thing, and tells everybody else that he might die tonight. Like, she's
Luis is like, "Well, can he hurry it up already?
Right.
Like, come on, what's taking you so long?
This along?
Let's go." I mean, this night is gonna last probably a whole 2 more months, so he still has a long time.
Right. Like, this is agony. Okay, all right.
I like that one.
I do too. Okay, so Antonio asks about, like, I know that y'all are like talking about me. Bless his little heart. But yeah, she, in the midst of one of Antonio's stupid speeches, Sheridan runs out yelling. That's my next note.
He's running away.
So yeah, she says that he could drop dead at any moment. And she tells him that basically that his condition is worse and he could drop dead anytime now. And he says, "Well, you know, my life is perfect because I met Sheridan, and Sheridan's so beautiful. I can't believe a woman like that would choose a man like me. And she really has made my life so wonderful, so I could die." And my next note is, in the midst of one of Antonio's stupid speeches, Sheridan runs out yelling, "I can't take this anymore." And that's exactly what happens. He's given that stupid speech. And she's like, "I can't take this anymore." She's again racked with guilt. And Luis runs after her, of course. And she's like, "You can't possibly think that now is a good time to tell him the truth." But Luis is firm. He is insisting, like, "No, we need to tell him the truth." And he says, "Antonio told us all that he Antonio told us all that he wants is for us." Good God. I'm sorry.
It is Antonio, so it's never going to make sense what he says.
Right.
Okay, so Sheridan says, like, "Why do you want to kill your brother?" Basically. Right. He says, "Antonio told us all that what he wants is for us to be honest with him. So yes, I think that we should tell him the truth. That doesn't mean I want to kill my brother. I just think that he has already been asking us to tell him the truth." Sheridan then says, "Well, that would kill him. Literally. You can't be serious. I can't believe that you would kill your own brother. That is not what's happening. He's dying regardless."
He's dying regardless. Yeah. And the man is actually, he's asking you to tell him what is happening. Why don't you want to respect this man's wishes? Like, first, for the fact that you keep saying, "Oh, I love him so much, like, I don't want to hurt him." But the man is asking you point blank, period, "Tell me what is going on. I know something is happening." And you're still sitting here being like, "Nah, I don't think we should tell him because he's dying," but he's already dying. He's going to still continue to be dying.
Yeah. He's going to die regardless. He's going to die regardless. And in fact, Eve is saying it might happen tonight.
Might as well tell him.
Now the plan is Let him die thinking he's with Sheridan.
Yeah, you know, let him die.
Since he's
thinking
gonna die.
Sheridan.
Instead of the truth.
I see both sides of it, to be honest. But Luis is saying, we don't know when he's going to die.
That's it.
And Luis is right.
We don't know.
We don't know when he's going to die. He's
Lord
like, Eve said it could be tonight, but it could, he was like, but it could be days, weeks. It could even be 15 years. Do you want to keep up this ruse for 15 years? They go back and forth like this for quite some time. I didn't write it all down. But that's basically, I don't have anything beyond that. Beyond Eve tells Pilar that a shock could worsen Antonio's condition to the point of killing him on the spot. Right? That's the last note I have for Shuis. Y'all have anything to add?
No.
I do want to point out how selfish Antonio is, because he's talking about like the most wonderful thing in the world is Sheridan. No regard to mentioning his family. He's like, I'm gonna die and I just want Sheridan. Why not talk about, I'm so glad I reconnected with my family, I'm with my siblings, I'm with my mother. No, everything is Sheridan.
He's
specifically, Maria, too. Like, there's a point, I think, right when he's about to do one of his speeches, like he called, like Pilar goes over to him and is like, wants to spend time with him. And he's like, but Sheridan, please come over here. Pushes Pilar out the way. And it's like, Sheridan, please come sit with me. That's your mama.
Your
the
mom,
one
who
who
you
lit
abandoned.
You abandoned. You lit a candle for you every night in that house that burned down. I mean, the woman gave birth to you.
Yeah.
And now you just give it.
You owe her a little bit of QT. Like, you owe her a little bit of quality time.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't mean that Sheridan's not important, but you have a whole family that also is just seeing you now for the first time in 17 million years.
Yeah.
Give him something.
Yeah. So,
hell, even Liz is professing her love to you and you're not even giving her two looks.
Literally.
No, instead you're saying, oh, you pushed me away, which did not happen. Did not happen.
He's too busy rubbing salt in that wound, telling her that they would still be together. No, you wouldn't, because you were a gigolo. You were a gigolo, and you told us as much. He told us as much. But anyway, that referred to last week or the week before.
Right.
Clips for the exhibits. So we're gonna move on to fated couples: Theresa, Ethan, and Gwen. Woo woo.
Yeah.
Our favorite people.
Things are getting interesting on this side. Things are getting quite interesting. Yeah. Irritating, but interesting.
Yes, very irritating. I have a lot of capital letter sentences in my notes.
I wanna preface this whole thing by saying Ethan does not deserve either of these women. I know I've said this before.
Facts.
But Ethan is like, there's something particularly like insidious about the way he acts this week, in my opinion. And we're about to get into it, but there's something just particularly gross about Ethan this week. And honestly, I don't think I have anything really mean to say about Gwen yet. Because this week and last week, she's saying all the right things. She really is.
Yeah, she really is. She's taking it on the chin. She's doing a good job.
It's time to wrap it up. It's wrap this up. And I'm with her on that.
Literally.
So let's pick up with Ethan. Ethan is in Theresa's room and he's telling her, basically, I've decided to marry you, right? He's not here to propose to her.
Words.
Exactly. What he says is, Theresa says, so have you decided on the woman you want to marry? And he says, yes, I have decided on the woman I want to marry. And then they talk about like how they first met and all the stupid stuff with the paint and all the stalker nonsense. And he tells her, we've changed a lot since that day, and I like to think we've become better people. I've watched you over the years turn into a caring and compassionate human being. You're a loving mother who thinks nothing of making a making the biggest sacrifices for those that matter to you most. That's not true. She just makes the biggest sacrifices for you, but that's
for him.
You know, I get what you're saying. I get what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
And he said, you've been willing to give up your life for mine more than once. And that kind of love just doesn't come around every day. I see that now. For the first time tonight, I believe that you've really changed and that you understand the toll that even the smallest lies can take on a relationship. And he says, I've had to look deep, deep in my heart to make the right decision. And I know I have. And this is when Sheridan interrupts them, right?
Yeah.
Which they were in Theresa's room. What was she looking for?
Well, she was looking for Ethan. So logically, he would be either in Theresa's room or, well, Gwen don't have a room at
his room.
His room. She goes to Theresa's room first because
Yeah.
Gwen is in Theresa. It is in Ethan's room, which is the adjacent room with the
Their
adjacent
room.
door, right? So it was just weird to me that Sheridan just bursts into Theresa's bedroom where there's a baby, like a sleeping baby,
who just came back to life. Also.
Just came back to life.
And she's just like hysterically bursts into Theresa's room. And so Theresa leaves them to because Sheridan explains to Theresa what's going on with Antonio. Antonio's condition has gotten worse, blah, blah, blah. So Teresa's like, I need to go and be with my brothers. So we'll talk later, right? She says to Ethan, like, hold that thought.
Yeah.
We'll pick this back up, right?
I will be back.
And so this is when Ethan tells Sheridan, who, mind you, came into this room fully distraught. Like she was unhinged, undone, right? Ethan's like, I was just about to tell, I was just about to ask Theresa to marry me. It's like, no, hey, how are you? What's going on?
Okay.
Why? And she was confused as hell. She's like, wait, I thought you were marrying Gwen. What? Because the last time they spoke, he was marrying Gwen.
Yep. He's a flip-flopper. And so she's like, wait a minute, I thought you said that engagement ring you bought was for Gwen. And he explains, I did some soul searching and I came to the conclusion that Theresa is the woman that I want to marry. He says, I honestly believe that she's changed into the kind of woman I want to marry. Bottom line is, I don't want to spend the rest of my life without her. Sheridan advises him, for whatever reason, she's giving him advice, even though her fiance is dying. Sheridan tells Ethan, well, you need to tell Gwen before you propose to Theresa. And I do agree. I think he did at least owe her a conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he did it last time.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. I think.
And he's like, well, she's just going to be so hurt. And she's like, yeah, well, she's going to be hurt either way.
Either way.
Yeah. And so, she says, Ethan says Ethan says, I don't want to hurt her. And then he says, but in time, Gwen will realize that it's for the best, that marrying her would have been a terrible mistake for both of us. Just remember this dialogue. Like that is such a strong statement to make. It's such a strong statement to make. In time, she'll understand that marrying her would have been a terrible mistake for both of us. Okay. So they converse further about like their upbringing as Cranes and how he's like, I'm glad I'm not really a Crane, but we still didn't have the best role models for loving marriages. Basically, he's talking about how he grew up watching Ivy and Julian, and Sheridan talks about how she doesn't even really feel like a Crane. She's like, I have more of my mother's attributes. Okay, girl.
Wait till you meet her.
What do you know about that lady?
Yeah. Didn't you think you killed her at some point?
Literally.
Right? Oh my God, that's so crazy to think about. Like Sheridan, she thought that her mother's death was her fault. But when we see her, at first I was like, okay, did her mom die during childbirth or like shortly thereafter? I think, like they said it was shortly thereafter. But when we see like the flashback of Sheridan with Catherine, Sheridan's like 10.
She's grown. Yeah, well, not grown, but she is not a baby.
She's not a baby. She had at least 10 years with her mom. So I don't know, to say that she was the reason for her mother's death is so weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, they have a conversation about being Cranes. and not Cranes at the same time. So
Mhm.
in the next room, Gwendolyn is feeling sick. She drops her
Yes.
knees. She's feeling very queasy, dizzy. She's having some pain in her stomach. Rebecca thinks she's faking.
Yeah, she's so proud of her daughter.
Right? And she's so proud of her. She's like, yes, honey. Perfect. That's perfect. Maybe, but your
Let me
knees
go get
maybe fall
Ethan.
all the way down. But Gwen is like, no, mother, this is real. I'm actually quite sick. And then she collapses. And that's when Rebecca realizes, oh shit, something actually is wrong with Gwen.
Yeah.
And then Gwen comes to after a moment. There is a doctor in this house. I don't know why Rebecca wouldn't have called for Eve when her daughter collapsed.
Yeah.
Collapsed.
Well, because she still has this thing with Ethan. So her first thought is, let me go get Ethan. And
Yeah.
Gwen is like, stop it.
Yeah.
No more.
Yeah. And
That's exactly right.
She did. I will give Gwen credit. She did tell her mom, she's like, I don't want to be a part of any more of your schemes. Like, I don't want to be a part of any more manipulation. Like, if I'm going to get Ethan, it's like on my own terms, basically. And,
Exactly.
you know, Rebecca's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go.
She goes rogue. She goes completely rogue. And
I
I
don't give a damn.
do want to give Gwen like a good moment here because I did really love what she said to her mother. So Rebecca wants to use Gwen's illness as a way to break up Ethan and Theresa's conversation, right?
Yeah.
And Gwen resists her mother completely. She tells her to stop it. I am not going to be a part of any of these sick plans anymore. No more manipulations, no more tricks, and no more schemes. I am finished. And I love what Rebecca said here. I don't agree, obviously, but it was funny. Rebecca says, but Gwen, that is the foundation of many lasting marriages. Besides, you don't have to lie. You are sick. All you have to do is just be as pale as you want and as you are. And then, but Gwen just keeps telling her, no, mother, please, I'm fine. I don't want you to, promise me, I think she says like, promise me you will not go interrupt Ethan and Theresa.
She says, she's like, I don't want to compete with Theresa anymore. I can't live my whole life wondering whether Ethan is going to all of a sudden decide he loves her more and then be with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's stepping into her power. I love that she's like taking back her own power and her own autonomy. I mean, she's been making a lot of decisions just based on what Ethan's whims are, you know. And what does Gwen want? How does Gwen want to live her life, you know? So I appreciate that. And so Rebecca goes rogue. Rebecca leaves, saying she's gonna go get Gwen some water.
Yeah.
And she bumps into Theresa in the hallway. She calls her a two-time tramp, and she throws that water all over her, and she corners her, and she says, you know, we have to settle this right now. And Theresa says, it is settled, Rebecca. You are too late. You cannot force Ethan to marry Gwen when it's me that he loves. And Rebecca says, Gwen may not want to fight you anymore, but I will, and I will fight you to the finish. And for the record, Ethan does not love you. He thinks he does because of all your tricks. And then Theresa lets slip that Ethan hasn't proposed to her yet. She's like, Ethan hasn't proposed, but he will, basically. And she's like, you're too late, right? And Rebecca says, we'll see if he still wants you when I'm through with you. And then she puts her into a chokehold. And she starts to like WWE style choke up Theresa. And this is when Pilar comes in and basically rescues her daughter, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where Rebecca goes. She
goes to Ivy's room.
Thank you. Yes, because Pilar chases her off.
Yeah.
And she goes to Ivy. Then she goes to Julian, and she tells them both that Ethan's gonna propose to Theresa, and she tells Ivy we gotta do something about it. And Julian has his own little thing, and we'll get to it. But so this is when Theresa tells Pilar that Ethan proposed to her, or is going to propose to her, right?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, poor Gwen is in agony.
Yeah. I know.
Poor Gwen is in agony, far more painful than yours. She is in agony. And she's like, why? Why is this happening all over again? God, I just wish someone would put me out of my misery. I feel so sick. I may as well be dead. And then she says to her mom, when her mom comes in, how, mother, how could I lose Ethan all over again? She says, how could I get so close to marrying him only to have Theresa steal him away from me again? I mean, it's not fair. It's just not fair. And then she faints again.
Yeah.
I felt sympathy for Gwen. I do think I've made this point countless times. Teresa's not stealing Ethan from her.
Mm-mm.
Ethan is willingly going to Theresa every single time. And I do hate this narrative on both sides that one is taking him from the other. Because Ethan is just a flip-floppy, wishy-washy, waffling little bitch. And
He wants them both.
Huh?
He wants them both.
He wants them
eat it
both.
too.
Yeah, and he wants them on different days, right? And
Yeah.
he wants a what do they do, polygamy. He wants plural marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants them to be sister wives, and they kind of are.
I mean,
they're already kind of sister wives, right? Like they all live in the same house together.
Yeah. They
They're
live
both-
next door.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So they're already kind of sister wives. They might as well just if we're gonna keep doing this, you know what I mean? Y'all might as well make it official.
Yeah. But
so
do you know what would be the problem?
What?
Is they would fight over who gets to be the primary wife and who is the next wife, you know?
Yeah, who's the legal wife. But you know what? They wouldn't have to fight over that because if I'm Theresa, right? I'm already married to Julian. I'm going to keep the money and have Ethan.
Yeah.
Right? I'll be the second wife.
That's true. She's like,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't want to have to work so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but that is not the road they go down.
Nope.
Yeah, so Gwen faints again. Then she comes to again. She rallies, right? And she's like, I'm going to pack my bags. I'm going to New York. Because reminder, she got a job offer in New York.
Yes.
She's decided to take. And she's just going to move to New York and be done with all of this bullshit in Harmony, which I support fully and completely.
Yeah.
We also learned this week that she was born and raised in Harmony. I didn't realize that. I thought she was from somewhere else.
Yeah.
But Ethan says, like, you were born here. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because at some point, like Ivy, when him and Ivy are talking, she's like, you've known Gwen your entire life. And Ethan was born here too.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's true. They really, they have truly known each other for a very long time.
I thought it was like that they were like their families were friends and they went to school together. Like I thought it was that. And I mean, I guess it still is that.
Yeah.
But I just didn't realize she was born in Harmony. So she faints. She comes to. She's packing her bags to hit the road, Jack. She's gonna leave and not come back no more. And then Ethan, he has a talk with Sheridan, and after that, he bumps into Theresa and Pilar in the hallway, where he tells them that he's on his way to break the news to Gwen. Like I had a conversation with Sheridan, and she advised me that I should obviously tell Gwen what's going on. I owe her that much. He reassures Theresa that he has not changed his mind and that he just owes Gwen a conversation. So everybody's on the same page. Theresa thinks that they are getting engaged. Like for once, Theresa is not delusional, right?
Yeah.
Theresa has been told that he's going to ask her to marry him. Has been told that.
But hasn't. And remember, he was telling everyone he was going to marry Gwen. So nothing he says is ever final.
I agree. No, I agree. I'm just laying the groundwork for what's happening, right? Because he also told Theresa that he was going to propose to Gwen, right? So she's heard, he's a bad dude. He's a bad dude. He is.
All of this shit the same night.
The same night, and with Gwen's ring. Go get another ring.
I know. And you know what? It's like, if you are so confused and don't know who to pick, you shouldn't be getting married at all. Oh. You are not in a place where you should be marrying anybody. In fact, you probably should get some therapy. Should probably go talk to somebody about this. I do not suggest TC as your counselor.
Yeah,
but,
not TC.
But definitely not him.
I'm sure Eve could give you a session. She's every doctor. She's every doctor.
He's just going to give him a sedative. He's going to sleep.
Yeah. Well, at least, you know what? He needs to sleep. He needs to sleep. This man almost died today. He needs some fucking rest. His brain ain't working so good right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's exhausted. That baby almost died. That couldn't have been good for his like mental health.
Right.
And so, yeah, don't propose to anybody right now because what do you mean?
Self-care.
What do you mean? Because he's saying himself, this is probably the most important decision of my life. And this is how you're making it? Like, it's like a flip of the coin, 50-50 chance. This doesn't make any no, pack it up. Pack it up. So, but he doesn't do that. Because God, these people are all fucking idiots. I'm sorry.
But we love it.
These people are all so dumb. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so glad that this is the last episode that I have to do for a while.
You need a break.
I need a break from these people. I need a break. So, he reassures Theresa that he's just going to, give Gwen the conversation and break things off with her, basically. And that's another thing. I'm sorry. It's like crazy to me that you have been in a relationship with Gwen, right? Like they have been together. She's been saying to Theresa, he's been saying to Theresa, me and Gwen are back together. We're back together. And then
he told Luis that day when they got back together.
And you're going to break up with her and propose to Theresa the same night? Insane. Even when he broke off his engagement to her the night before their wedding, he didn't do that. Like, he was like, we need to date each other.
Yeah.
Even though they went on one date. But yeah, he didn't propose to her that night because that's ridiculous. There has to be, you have to have some air between those relationships. This is overlap like crazy. He is a cheater. He is a cheater. I don't care what anybody says. That man is a cheater. And he needs therapy because why can't you be alone for 3 days?
Yeah.
God.
But sorry. He has attachment issues or abandonment issues. I don't know. Whichever one is the one that.
It's interesting because I think he's so Theresa's attachment style is definitely an anxious attachment style. And I think Ethan has an avoidant attachment style. And I think that's why he has such a hard time really committing one way or the other. Neither of them have like a real secure attachment style. And I think Gwen also is anxious. She's just,
just not as much as Theresa.
I don't think she's quite has the same amount of like anxious attachment to Ethan as evidenced by the fact that she's like packing her bags now and ready to go.
Like
she's done. She did the game longer than she should have, but she finally, it seemed, was like, you know what? I'm packing it in. And cutting my losses.
Can't do it twice.
Yeah.
And Ethan wouldn't be able to go off and be by himself because Theresa would follow him. We all know that. She would never leave him alone. She has to be in his ear. She has to be in his ear, just reminding him, but you love me. Remember, you love me.
Follow him.
You love me. Don't forget you love me.
She's going to follow him. You're right.
Everywhere.
Y'all follow him.
She's convincing him that he's in love with her. That's what's annoying about her.
Never get away.
Even when he tells her, I'm going to marry Gwen, the bitch got on her knees and begged him.
She sure did get on her knees.
And begged him. Begged him.
That's my girl.
And you know what? I think Ethan loves it. He loves the fact that this little girl is infatuated with him.
It's very true because also, think about it. The way that Antonio talks about Sheridan is how he wishes Sheridan was acting towards him, right? But this Theresa literally on bended knee,
Yeah.
on bended knee is another level of
She's begging.
Ethan
Begging.
absolutely loves it. He loves Theresa like begging. He loves that she will grovel for him. He loves that she will truly like do anything for him to her own detriment. Yeah.
She gave up her life for him.
They have a very, very unhealthy relationship to each other. Yeah. Very unhealthy. It's so bad. These two.
Oh God.
Still love it, but it is unhealthy.
Oh yeah.
I've said this before. I'll say it again. I root for Theresa because I want Theresa to get what Theresa wants. But I don't think Ethan is right. Like if Theresa was my real friend in real life, which I would never be real life friends with her because she's too crazy. But if she was my real life friend in real life, I would advise her to let him, like I would be talking cash money shit about him any chance I got. And that's another reason we probably wouldn't be friends because I'm sure she wouldn't accept it. But I would just be like, girl, you are too good for him. You are way too good for him. Oh my God. He doesn't even, he doesn't respect you at all.
I was just going to say that. He's literally sleeping with a woman right next door.
In your house.
In your house. Practically in your face.
Literally.
He does not respect you.
But then that still doesn't deter her. This is why I have no respect for her. This is why I'm not on team Theresa.
And that's fair enough. That's fair enough. You know, it's, yeah.
I mean, Gwen has her issues. Believe me. She's not perfect. She has her things. I just gravitate more towards those things than her things.
No, that's what it is. I gravitate more towards Theresa's crazy shit than I do to Gwen's crazy shit. I gravitate, there's something so, you know what it is too? There's something so sad about Gwen that, and because she's not upbeat, I think because Theresa is just like so hyper positive. There's something going on up there that makes me go.
Only hyper positive when it's going her way. When it's not, the bitch is throwing herself in the fucking river.
I mean,
the ocean, in fact.
Yes.
River, ocean, like she literally threw herself to kill herself.
It was over for her. She was
okay.
Yeah. But I think there's something
that's not positive. She's only positive when it's looking like it's going her way. If not, it's a devastation.
There's something so irrepressible about her. There's something so irrepressible about Theresa. She's like the unsinkable Molly Brown. Like you can't keep a good bitch down.
I think it's because she's younger than Gwen.
Yeah.
Gwen is like, I look at Gwen and I'm like, girl, you too old for this foolishness. It makes sense because Theresa is young. And like literally what is she, 19? Like the girl is young. So it makes sense for her to be obsessed with this man. Like the youngness, like you haven't been through a lot of stuff, even though she has been through a lot of stuff. But like you haven't like physically in age been through a lot of stuff. Like Gwen,
her frontal lobe has not finished developing.
So, you feel like you're like, yeah, girl, I'm rooting for you. And for me, at least in Gwen's case, I'm like, girl, you too old for this. This, you deserve better than this. Leave this man to be with the girl who's just young and silly and stupid and is just being herself. You deserve to be with some man who's going to fall over himself for you.
Agreed. But Ethan is who she wants. So I'm going to root for her.
And that's how we feel about Theresa. Ethan is who she wants. I guess it's who you want. But to your point, Uche, I also agree. But to piggyback on, Theresa has never been anywhere. Theresa doesn't have an education. She didn't grow up with the world is her oyster. So that's another thing that bothers me about Gwen is like, girl, you've been all over the world. You grew up rich. You have so many more options in your life. And I know she wants Ethan for whatever reason. But I think that's another, just to add on to like she's older, but she also is far more worldly, far more experienced, has seen more of the world, has experienced more people than what Theresa has. And so Theresa's world is so small, and
Tiny.
Gwen's world doesn't have to be that tiny.
Yeah. She's attached to Ethan.
Yeah.
And she invested so much time in this relationship because they've been together for years. This isn't something that just happened. They've been dating for years. So for her, it's like, I put in all of this investment, and he's looking at this teenage girl.
Yeah.
And I know I'm better than her, but you're choosing her. Like, he is the problem.
Always.
He is.
And I just think Gwen is better than Theresa.
Ethan is the problem, and you think that Gwen is better than Theresa. We heard that.
Yes, I do.
Yes, that is Maria's opinion.
That is my opinion. That is my opinion. And
Maria's opinion does not reflect the opinions of Passion's podcast as a whole.
I represent the other Gwen fans out there, and we know they're out there.
You represent the Lollipop Guild. I get it. Oh no! I love that we can all agree that Ethan is always the problem.
Always the problem.
He is.
We find some middle ground here sometimes. I appreciate that
because they both have flaws and they both have great reasons to root for them.
100%. And if we all liked the same people, life would be boring. So
So at this point, back to the story.
We've been on a tangent for 10 minutes.
I'm not mad at it though. I really enjoyed that tangent. And I liked that it was like about passion. Sometimes we go on tangents that are about nothing. Don't have anything to do with the show. So Ethan, he reassures Theresa that he's just going to tell Gwen that it's over between them, basically. So he goes to her room. He tells her, I care about you. And, I skipped a little bit. He knocks on the door. She doesn't want to see him.
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
Right.
She's done. She's done.
She's done. She's finished. He knocks. She sits there in silence. Rebecca's like, you need to do something. Like, get the door. And Gwen's like, no, I don't want to talk to him. I know I know why he's here.
Yeah.
But eventually she agrees to talk with Ethan. So Ethan comes in and Rebecca leaves and she tells him, I know why you're here, because he says, I really care about you. And she's like, please
save me the sob story.
Save your breath, brother. She says, I know why you came to talk to me. I remember at Christmas time the little talk you wanted to have with me before you went to propose to Theresa. And then at that point she gets a phone call. She's like, I have to take this.
Oh,
then
wait, there's
collapsed.
something I wanted to say. When she was talking about, when you came to me in Christmas, Ethan says, Gwen, that was totally different. I object. How is this different? Please explain to me how this is different, Ethan. What do you mean this is Ethan? This is different. You need to elaborate what that means.
This is worse, actually. This is way worse. This is way worse because the first time, so he broke off his engagement to Gwen and then he started to like date them or whatever. And then he chose Theresa and then he was with Theresa and then he decided he was going to propose to her. And he was like, I have to let Gwen know, right? So there was like some space between when they broke up and when he proposed to Theresa. This time, he bought a ring for her, had explicitly said that ring was for her. Sure, he didn't tell her that ring was for her, but he had told at least 3 other people.
Yep.
And if a handful of people know in Harmony, everybody fucking knows.
Everyone knows.
Yeah.
Including Theresa.
Including Theresa, including
everyone, Sheridan,
everyone. Gwen. It's important that he should understand that Gwen knows that he was planning to propose to her tonight. Yeah. And he should know that just based on the fact that they've known each other their entire fucking lives and the way that she was acting all night long. Yep. All night long. So, I
think that's the 3rd time we sang this song.
Because this night lasts forever.
It goes on. It's a long night.
Yeah. And I just took objection that he's like, this was different.
It's not. You're right.
No.
It is different, but it's worse. Like, it's like it's not different in the way that in any better way. It's worse.
Exactly. Yeah, I would have loved to if Gwen would have let him finish that because I would have been like, explain to me how this is different.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You're proposing to
See,
her
that
and you're
way.
coming here to break it off with me. How is this different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, I do kind of wish she would have let him just give her his speech. But I also, this is one thing. This is one place where Gwen and I are probably very much alike. Like, I already know what you're about to say. Save it. Please. Please. Don't piss me off worse than I already am. You don't want to do that. That's, you know, I'm already done. I'm already over it, you know. But
yeah.
So I actually like understand her saying, I already know what this is about. And but I also hate that we give Ethan outs all the time. And oftentimes he doesn't have to say the hard thing. Often he doesn't have to say the hard thing. So I do kind of wish she would have made him say it to her. But she loves him. And this was generous of her, right? It's generous of her to not make him go through the whole rigmarole of breaking up with her.
Yeah. She could have left.
She could have.
She could have.
She could have just told Rebecca, I'll send for my things. I'm out.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, she gets a phone call. Did you notice how confused and like offended he looked that she would take a phone call over a conversation with him? Boy, sit down.
Yeah.
You're about to break up with her. You're not that important anymore.
Exactly. Yes, I'm taking the phone call because I already know what this conversation is about. And this phone call is for business and it's important. Even though, girl, what time is it? Because why are you getting not just business calls? That one lady called her in the middle of, or no, she called that lady accepting the offer. It's the middle of the night.
It could be, it's probably related about that, just finalizing, you know, the move and expenses, you know, business stuff.
It can't wait till tomorrow during business hours.
Listen,
she was packing to leave that night. That could have been that her flight's ready to go.
Maybe, yeah.
They were sending the private jet for her to come.
Oh, for sure. She's, you know, she's an heiress. We forget that she's an heiress because she don't be acting like an heiress, but she is an heiress. And so she takes this phone call. He leaves while she takes this phone call. Rebecca comes back in. Gwen collapses. She's like, oh, something, pain. And this is when Rebecca finally calls for Eve, like something is bad. And so she calls for Eve. Eve runs into Ethan on her way to check on Gwen. And he's like, what's going on? What's wrong? And she's like, I don't know. Something's wrong with Gwen. And so they both go back into the bedroom. And Ethan asks, like, what's wrong with Gwen? And Rebecca says, my daughter is dying and you're the only one who can save her. What? And then the next episode, she says, I didn't write it all the way down, but she basically says, like, my daughter is dying and you're a murderer. You did it to her. It's all your fault.
She blames him. His fault.
Blames him for sure.
I mean, when we find out later, it is kind of his fault.
It is, actually. She's not entirely wrong. Because Eve examines Gwen. I use examine in such a in the most loose terms possible. Because Eve is always like giving people, quote, examinations. And it's just like checking their pulse. Okay. So anyway, she examines Gwen. And Gwen like brushes off the illness, saying that she's probably just dehydrated. And Eve's like, well, I want to run some tests. Okay. And Gwen's like, well, I don't have time to go to the hospital for tests because I have a plane to catch to New York. Ethan is stunned. He's like, what do you mean New York? Where are you going? You going on a business trip? First of all, it's none of your fucking business because we're not together anymore. But second of all, she says, no, I'm moving to New York. I got a job. I'm moving to New York. And
leaving Harmony
like,
forever.
Yeah, he's like, no, you can't. What do you mean I can't? For what? He questions her about it.
I need you following me around like Theresa does, like a sad little puppy. Come on.
He's trying to build his little polycule, right? His little polygamy family.
Yeah.
He sucks. I can't stand him because he questions her about this move, and he's like, Gwen, you were born here, your friends are here, your family, everybody you love is here. And that's when Gwen says, it's not enough, Ethan. The person that I love doesn't want me anymore, and that's why I need to go. I have to get out of here. Yes, girl, you have to get out of here. And so at this point, Eve has like left because Gwen says, and I kind of skipped over this, but Gwen says she doesn't have time to go to the hospital. So Eve's like, oh, I'll have the hospital send over the tests. It's just a pregnancy test.
No blood work.
No blood work, nothing.
You can also find out if you're pregnant through blood work too. You don't have to pee on a stick.
Yeah. So, but it was just a CVS pregnancy test.
Yeah.
So, but Eve leaves to call the hospital to send over these tests. And Rebecca insists that Eve run these tests at the mansion before Gwen leaves, right? And so the two of them go off to wherever, and Ethan and Gwen are having this conversation alone. I feel like that's important to say. And he questions her about this move, telling her you were born here, your friends and family, everybody you love is here. She says it's not enough because the person I love doesn't want me anymore. I have to go, I have to leave. Ethan tells her, well, it wasn't an easy decision, Gwen. And Gwen says marriage proposals seldom are, especially when you and I are concerned. When did you stop caring about me, Ethan? And this is when he says, I didn't. It's not about that at all. Sorry. I don't know. I can't talk. Sometimes I feel like I be having little mini strokes. He says,
it's the dialogue.
It's not about that at all. And Gwen says, then how is it that you suddenly decided to ask Theresa to marry you when earlier tonight you were going to propose to me? And Ethan's like, yeah, you're right. I was. Like, it's like he was almost shocked that she knew that. But of course she knows that. One, she knows you. And two, Harmony is a very small town, and you told several people that you were going to propose to her. Of course she knows. And so yeah, he's like shocked, like, yeah, I was. And this is when she's like, you know what? Don't tell me how this all happened. I don't want to know. I don't even want to know. The point is, you decided what you want to spend the rest of your life with Theresa and not me. And that's okay. I'm a big girl. I can handle it. The sad thing is we've already been through this more than once. But like the song says, I will survive. And it'll be in New York, far away from you and Theresa.
Good.
I loved it. I loved that. She was like, we've already done this before. And that also is another one of my issues with Gwen, has been one of my issues with Gwen, because it then will become one of my issues with Theresa, is that we've already done this. Yeah. That man left you the night before your wedding. The fact that you're still in this town blows my mind. The fact that, let alone trying to marry him again, you had to see this coming. We've done this before. Like she said, we did this before.
We've done it before.
Yeah.
But she always put the blame on Theresa. She never blamed him. So for her, it's like, as long as we can get Theresa out of the way, then me and you are going to go on the path that we were already on. Yeah, that's very true. That's such a good point. She only blamed Theresa. And see, the moral of the story is, when you only start blaming women for things, you are doomed to continue to repeat the same mistakes and choosing horrible men. Because it can't always be just the woman's fault. Can't. And I'm glad she said that, because in a way, Ethan had to eat his words, because he had the nerve to tell Sheridan, I don't know how I'm going to tell Gwen. She's going to fall apart. Bitch, stop. She didn't. She's packing her bag. She's getting the fuck out. She ain't a dainty flower. She ain't Theresa.
She ain't Theresa, because Theresa would have fell apart.
Teresa was on her fucking knees,
which is crazy,
begging the man.
Girl, put it up. It worked though. It did work.
It did.
I mean, it wasn't the last time she's on her knees.
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean,
that's crazy. So Gwen tells him, he starts to try to, like, I don't know, say something. She's like, don't say anything else. I'm done having this conversation. He's like, if you need anything at all. And she's like, I know where to find you. But when he leaves, she does start to kind of fall apart. Like, she doesn't show him. She shows him like a show of strength.
She's human.
But of course,
emotions.
Police. Again, this is exactly, I'm not gonna say it's exactly how I would handle this, but this is also how when I'm having like tough conversations with people, I'm not gonna, for the most part, I'm not gonna fall apart in front of you. I'm gonna do that behind closed doors because I have manners, right? Like,
also, you don't want the person to be pitying you or even being with you because they pity you.
Yeah.
No.
Or,
She's like, no, go.
You don't want them to, I don't know, for me, I don't want somebody to see me laid that low at all. I just don't. But some people have no shame. My baby girl, Theresa.
She almost uses it
My
to
girl
get
is shameless.
him to pay attention to her.
But
Like-
but when Ethan leaves, Gwen cries to herself. She says, "Oh God, Ethan, it's not easier. It's never going to be easier. Why Theresa and not me?"
Yeah.
I felt really bad for her. I know she loves Ethan. I think I was kind of on the fence about that, especially early on. I wasn't sure if she really loved Ethan, but I do think she loves Ethan. I do think a good portion of this hurt is because she feels like she, not only did she lose Ethan, it makes her feel like she's not good enough, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
Especially when you have Rebecca constantly telling her you can't lose to the housekeeper's daughter.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So this is when Rebecca goes and brings Ivy up to speed on what's going on, and Ivy's like, no, I won't, not over my dead body. I will kill Theresa before I let Ethan marry that little gutter snipe. Ooh, Jesus Christ.
I have a
She's
feeling
ready
she
to
don't like
murder.
Theresa.
Yeah, it's like, tell us how you really feel, Ivy. My God, I will kill Theresa before I let her marry my sweet little Ethan. And then she goes and tells Julian what's going on, and Julian comes up very quickly with this scheme to get a quickie divorce from Theresa and make sure she has no claim to any of the Crane fortune whatsoever. Yeah. He calls his lawyer, has him fax him over. Yeah, I mean, Julian's a buffoon, but he does know how to he does know how to like screw people out of money, right? Like
when it comes to money, the man knows what he's doing.
Yeah. He can do bad things very easily. So he calls up his lawyer, has them draw up divorce papers. They fax them over to him immediately, and he goes off in search of Theresa to get her to sign these papers. Now I don't know why I thought this. I thought he would see Theresa and tell her like, hey, let's get a divorce or whatever, show her the papers, and that she would say, okay, I'm going to have Woody look over them, right? Like her lawyer. I don't know why I thought that. Of course she didn't. He finds he finds Theresa. But you know what? Before we talk about that, we have to talk about Ethan and Ivy, right? Yes. So, Ethan goes to talk to Ivy just to let her know, hey, things have changed, right? She already knows what's going on. And so he comes in and she comes at him hot. Like, I already know. And he says, Ivy, he gets berated by her. And she says, Ethan, how can you even consider it after everything she's done to you? She's nothing but a lying, deceitful, manipulative. And he cuts her off. He's like, mother, I swear if you call her one more name, I will walk right out that door. And he says, I know you're surprised. And she says, appalled is the word. I love Ivy. I hate her, but I love her,
Yeah.
And she says, you belong with Gwen, a decent, loving girl who would gladly spend the rest of her life trying to make you happy. But what do? You throw her away for some barrio bimbo who just as soon lie as breathe in and out. Then she goes on. She says, everything Theresa has done to you, all she has ever done is hurt you with her lies and her schemes and her manipulations. Have you forgotten that you lost your birthright as a Crane because of Theresa? And which I hate that she brings that up because, bitch, that's your fault.
That's exactly what I wrote. I was like, girl, that is you. If you had been honest from day one, we wouldn't even be in this situation.
We wouldn't. In fact,
if you would have gotten rid of the letter, no one would even know.
No one would know.
Right, yeah. And Pilar was begging her to get rid of it.
Yep.
Yes.
Forever.
Yeah.
You did this to yourself.
And then she put it in Pilar's house. I mean, you hid it where Theresa was.
Yep.
I mean, she wasn't banking that Theresa was going to find it.
But
it's Theresa's house.
Find it.
That's my point. You hid it where people, a small place. You have a mansion. Hide it in the mansion live? Like, surely
Gotta
there's
say-
Put in a safety deposit box of a
Something.
bank that no one knows about.
Yeah, you are rich. You leave it at Pilar's house in the one closet she has, where people are bound to be looking for things. They don't have one closet, but one coat closet, right? She has one coat closet, and that's where it went. And there were 5 people living in that house at the time.
Yeah.
Somebody was gonna find it. Somebody was gonna find it. So anyway, she blames that on Theresa. You lost your birthright because of Theresa. Or have you forgotten that her child is the spawn of Julian? And he says,
That's actually a good point.
yeah. She says, I will not have this. I forbid you to marry Theresa. He says, you forbid it. And she says, I don't care how old you are, Ethan. I am still your mother. Now, you are going to do as I tell you to do. I will not allow you to spend the rest of your life with a woman who will do nothing but make you miserable. Theresa is, that's my note. Teresa's listening outside the door. And she worries that Ethan's love isn't strong enough to stand up to Ivy for her.
But then, what about fate? This bitch does not believe in fate. She don't.
Ethan, she doesn't believe in Ethan. What she shouldn't. But she shouldn't. He has proven himself to not be trustworthy. He has proven himself to be able to flip on you on a dime. Of course she's anxious about their relationship and her attachment to him, right? Because, and as Gwen has been too, right? Because he has proven to both of these women that he could go either way. Any way the wind blows. Any way the wind blows. Doesn't really matter to Ethan.
Really? No.
To me.
Doesn't really matter to Ethan. He could go either way. But anyway, he does stand up for Theresa.
To worry.
Yeah, he does stand up for Theresa. He says, I'm not going to propose to Gwen when it's Theresa that I love. This is my life, mother, and I choose to spend it with Theresa. I just thank God I didn't let my own wounded pride throw it all away. But with or without your blessing, I plan for us to spend a wonderful life together. I mean, Ethan is saying so many things about marrying Theresa. I would have thrown it all away. The fact that we even get back to which one drives me crazy. It's not fair to Gwen. It's not fair to Gwen. It's not fair to either of them, but it's really not fair to Gwen.
It's not, especially like when you say stuff like that, right? Like Theresa had her moment where she was like, okay, what if he changes his mind? Like, what if our love isn't strong enough, like, for this, right? But he says to his mom, like, listen, I don't care what you say. I know you my mama, but I am marrying this woman, right? In that moment, that's it. That's done, finished, finito. Because when you choose to listen, we all know you have your relationships with your parents, blah, blah, blah. And especially depending on what cultures you're from, right? Those relationships are very tight. When you say, mama, daddy, I don't care what you say, I'm going to do me. This is the person I want to be with. That's it.
Yeah.
Done. There is no going back from that. Listen, I'll be very vulnerable right now. I called off my own engagement, okay? Because that man did not stand up for me when he needed to, okay? And that's what you want. You want your person to stand up for you when the time calls for it. And if you can't do that in front of your own mama, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. So for him to do that, great. So there should be no other question forever and for the rest of your life who you are choosing to be with.
Yeah.
That's it. Done.
Because he's using a lot of strong language with her. And in fact, it gets worse. So, or better, however you want to look at it. So Ivy says, I don't think you understand, Ethan. I'm not begging and I'm not pleading. I'm giving you an order. You march into her bedroom and you tell her that you have come to your senses and that you will not marry her, not now, not ever. Ethan says, I won't do that. And Ivy says, then you can say goodbye to me, the one person in your life who has never wanted anything but the best for you. If you go against my wishes on this, Ethan, I mean it. I will never see you again. He says, "Mother, stop being so dramatic, melodramatic." Now, I want to say this. The fact that Ivy, first of all, Ivy is clearly bluffing. She loves Ethan more than anything in the world.
The whole
right?
world.
She doesn't talk about any of her other children, just this one.
Mm-hmm.
And he's her only connection to Sam. Right. Like, she also uses Ethan as like a little bargaining chip with Sam. And so we know this is clearly a bluff. You're not gonna
100%.
You're not gonna go no contact with Ethan. And but she leverages their relationship and how much he loves her to try to force him to, but he knows. He's like, "Okay, mama." "Sure, mom. Sure, Jan."
Okay.
Yeah.
He calls her bluff. He's like, "All right, well, I guess I'll never see you again."
He
said
does.
bye.
He says, "Mother, stop being so melodramatic." She says, "No, I mean every word of it, Ethan. I would rather lose you forever than see you waste your life on that." And he says, "Watch it, Mother. On someone who is not good enough for you. I would rather languish alone in this wheelchair. I would rather die of a broken heart than see you with someone who doesn't deserve you. I'm warning you, Ethan. Stay on this path you've chosen, and I will never speak to you again. I will cut off all contact. I swear it." And Ethan says, "You know what? All my life, you have been my closest ally, my strongest support." And she says, "Not if you choose Theresa. It's me or her." And he says, "I want you in my life. I always have. But if you insist on giving me this ultimatum, so be it. I love Theresa and I'm going to marry her. If you don't want to be around me because of that, fine. I'll miss you, but I'm not going to be bullied out of what I know is right, even if it means losing you." And it's just so interesting. I know that he did a good job. It's so interesting that Ivy doesn't see the parallel between how she was treated by her father and being pushed into marrying Julian and what she's doing to Ethan right here. It's interesting to me that she doesn't see, and she says all the time that her biggest regret is that she didn't stay with Sam, that she married Julian. It's her biggest regret. And so she knows more than anybody how bad a marriage can be when you've married someone you didn't want to marry, that you married for convenience. You thought it was going to be the right thing. It was the easiest thing. It's what everybody wanted for you. And you were like, they're not going to be that bad. It's going to be fine. And yes, I get it's not completely the same. It's not a one-to-one because Ethan does love Gwen, but he also said earlier, eventually they would be miserable together because they would realize they made a big mistake. Like that's his way of thinking already. And he would always, always, always be thinking about Theresa the same way that Ivy is always, always, always thinking about Sam. And so it's just she's so selfish in this moment that to me that I'm like, come on, Ivy, I get it. You don't like Theresa. Fine. You know what? I'm not going to say she needs to fall in love with Theresa and be all, but to tell your son, I'll never see you again, I'll never talk to you again if you marry this girl, and you have been through this situation your own self where you loved someone, but your family wouldn't approve of them. Come on.
I mean, in Ivy's defense, she did tap into that when he first got with Theresa. Remember, she was all for her because she's like, this is like me and Sam. She's just not on this anymore because she doesn't like Theresa anymore. She doesn't think Teresa's a good fit. She's going to think that Teresa's going to hurt him, but she's not wrong. So
and
that's
I get that. Yeah, no. And I do get that caveat of it. But at the same time, she left Sam. She broke Sam's heart, right? And she expects him to come back to her, right? Like she told the biggest lie that you can tell to a man, right? Like she lied about Ethan's paternity for 20 something years. Yeah. Sam didn't know he had a son, and Sam is still willing to forgive Ivy.
Right.
Ivy should be able to extend some grace to Theresa. She should. I get that she doesn't like her, but she should be able to kind of step outside of herself, especially with her son going so hard for Theresa right now. You would think that it would make her at least soften a little bit. I'm not saying she needs to be throwing them a wedding, but maybe
But her hatred for Theresa is she was willing to have the woman die on death row.
Yes!
She was trying to kill her. So she got no love for this girl.
Yeah.
At all.
She has, no, I completely agree. She has no love for Theresa. She was trying to kill her, which is a note that I have later because when Ivy and Theresa are like arguing and fighting, and Ivy calls her like vile or something like crazy, and then I realized, I was like, you know what, Theresa deserves to get at least a couple of licks in on Ivy because Ivy tried to have her killed. Ivy in fact had her killed.
But she doesn't even know about that yet or ever.
Well,
I don't think she ever finds out that it was Ivy
they
and
have
Rebecca.
their suspicions, remember?
Yeah, but no,
she doesn't know. She doesn't have the proof, but she believes that that's what happened, right? Like she believes that, and we know that is what is true.
Yeah, we do, but she doesn't know.
She doesn't. I don't know. She doesn't know for sure, but she has her suspicions. And there's enough circumstantial kind of evidence to kind of show that they tried to have her killed, right?
Right. But it's still plausible deniability.
Yeah, oh for sure. But if I'm Theresa, fuck that. This isn't a court of law.
Yeah, true.
So Ethan and Ivy have it out. Ethan tells her, like it or not, mother, that's the way it is. I choose Theresa over Gwen, and if you make me, I'll choose her over you as well. I'm going to ask her to marry me tonight. So, I mean, though, again, strong words from Ethan. Very, very firm, strong words from Ethan. And so he's like, I'm gonna go check on Gwen. And Ivy's like, why? Leave her alone. And I agree. I agree with Ivy here. He's like, well, she was sick earlier tonight, and I just want to make sure she's okay. And Ivy's like, you broke her heart. I'm sure she's not okay.
Right.
Leave her. Let her be. If you're not gonna be with her, leave her alone. I 100% agree. I feel like somebody else needs to say that to Luis about Beth. If you're not gonna be with her, leave her alone.
I mean, technically, it wasn't. It was to also check on her because she was sick.
No, I agree.
It wasn't just to see like, oh, where are you mentally? It's like, no, she was sick, so he really wants to make sure that she's okay.
I get why he was going there. I also get Ivy saying, leave her alone. If she's sick, her mom will take care of her.
Right.
Exactly. Like, leave. I don't think she wants to see the sight of you.
Flowers.
Yeah. No, I get that. So Ethan does go to check on Gwen. Ivy tries to follow behind him, but Theresa, who's been standing outside this entire time and listening to it, and like thrilled that Ethan has stood up for her, which she should. I mean, I understood her reaction to it, right? Like, because she was nervous, understandably so. Because I had actually forgotten how much Ivy hated Theresa. I had forgotten because we hadn't talked about it in a long time, really. And I was like, oh shit, yeah. I thought that Theresa was like over a hump, but no, we still have to deal with, like, Ivy's the final boss, not Gwen. Yeah. And so she was standing out there worried, but then when he stood up to her, she felt very
empowered.
She's feeling empowered and a little too emboldened, if you ask me.
She was gloating.
She was on another level. She said, like, I wrote it down that she's like, if Ethan can stand up to Ivy, nothing can come between us again, which is very powerful. Like, when you think about that, in reality, that is very powerful. But then we have this moment of her just being like, girl, you just saw that the man defended you. So nothing is supposed to come between you and him. So it's good. Why you gotta go and take this woman, like,
she doing all this extra shit. That was my thing with Theresa this week. Bitch, why are you doing all this extra stuff? You don't have to do this. So Ethan goes to check on Gwen.
You should be trying to win her over, knowing that he stood up for you, not piss her off even more.
Well,
she does tell her we should be friends.
Yeah,
she does tell her. So
after she disables her wheelchair,
it was before. She said she does it before and after. So Ethan goes to try to check on Gwen. Ivy follows after him, but Theresa comes around the corner and intercepts her, right? and stops. She's like, not so fast, Ivy. And like I said, it's like, Theresa, girl, you're a little too bold, too quick. Like this, it's only been 10 minutes since that man didn't even propose to you, just implied that he was going to.
You don't even have the ring on your finger to even just be like, see, Ivy.
It's not even your ring. He told you 3 hours ago that it was for Gwen.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
Literally. I don't know how he was going to propose. Does that ring even fit her?
Oh my God.
Does that even fit her finger? Like,
probably
the
not,
one
because
that he got for Gwen the first time got stuck on her finger.
Got stuck on her, yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
Gwen's got a more slender hand, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, he goes to check. Theresa intercepts Ivy, and she says to Ivy, I don't want us to be enemies. I want us to try to get along. After all, we're going to be related very soon. You're going to be my mother-in-law. Ivy says, never. And Teresa's like, nope. There's nothing you can do to stop us, Ivy. Ethan is going to ask me to marry him. I'm going to say yes. And I know that we can never, ever be friends, but can't we at least try to be civil for Ethan's sake? Ivy refuses, right? And this is when Theresa disables her wheelchair. She's like, well, I tried. And she pulls like some cords out of the back of the wheelchair, and she wheels Ivy back into Ivy's room. And she says, you're going to have to stay right here until Ethan makes sure that Gwen understands that nothing will change his mind about marrying me. And once we hear Gwen's outraged shrieking, I'll reconnect your battery.
That pissed me the fuck off. Bitch, she ain't you. She ain't you. You are trying to take too much joy in another woman's misery. She ain't fucking you. Sit the fuck down. She ain't streaking. She ain't yelling. She ain't being outraged. She ain't begging on his knees. That's your MO.
Yeah.
I said what I said.
I mean, you said what you said. No, I could counter here, but I'm not going to. It's not worth it. It's not. Because Gwen doesn't start shrieking. She has taken it on the chin. So
yeah.
So then this is when Ivy says, you are dangerous. You're a threat to society. And this is where I was like, aren't you the one that tried to have Theresa killed?
Murdered.
Yes.
Weren't you drugging teenagers around this fucking town? Excuse me. Didn't you also drug Grace? Aren't she is a menace to society. Ivy is actually.
Didn't she shoot Julian within like the first week of the show?
Did she? I remember
not
she pulled the gun
at him, but like pulled the gun and shot past him.
I think you're absolutely right. Yes, and like shot a vase or something.
She walks around packing.
Yeah, she's a menace to society.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you crashed a car into a church trying to stop a wedding.
Also,
I mean,
also property damage.
Property damage. I mean,
she's using David to break up Sam and Grace's marriage and using his son. Faking DNA tests.
I mean,
blackmailing Eve.
Yes.
She really is the final boss. This woman is evil.
She is the final boss. So Theresa and Ivy kind of go back and forth. Ivy says, I can't believe that my son loves you. It's like you put some kind of spell on him, made him lose all his common sense, and he's gone insane. And Theresa says, yes, wildly insane with love and desire for me. And Ivy, Ethan can't wait to make love to me every single night. And he will starting tonight. So you better get used to it, or I'm going to have to throw mama from the train. That's what I'm going to have to throw mama from the train. Like I said, she's manic. Theresa has entered a manic episode.
Yeah.
That she lit up, her brain lit up when Ethan basically implied to her that he was going to propose to her, and has reassured her a couple of times now that tonight's the night. And so she's feeling very good, very bold, and like on cloud nine. I bet she feels high as hell. I bet she's riding a real high.
I mean, for her to do that unplugging of the wheelchair, I was like, oh yeah, she is on another level. On another level.
And
if Ethan heard her, he would be appalled.
Yes, he would. That's why I was like, that is why I was like, Theresa, you don't have to do this. Ethan already stood up for you, but she's a little loony, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say I didn't agree with this. It was funny to me for not like, oh, this is hysterical, but more so like, Jesus, this is crazy. You don't have to do this. And also the dialogue what was written was funny to me. I'm going to have to throw mama from the train. Like what? God.
That was a movie at the time.
Oh,
that
for
was
real?
A line from a movie. Oh yeah, Throw Mama Off the Train. That's actually a movie.
What's that? The name of the movie is Throw Mama Off the Train?
I believe so, yeah.
Now I got to look it up.
Yeah.
Idea.
I thought you caught that reference.
No. Throw Mama from the Train. I've never...
Yeah, it's about a son who wants to kill his mom and hired someone to do it.
It's from 1987. It's got Danny DeVito. It must be a comedy.
Yeah, it's a comedy.
Billy Crystal. Okay. No, I literally have never heard of that. Throw Mama from the Train.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't catch that. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. I thought everyone did, but
no,
I'm a little older.
Yeah, I've never heard of that movie. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
So
that's where the reference probably came from, that they threw that in there, because that's such a weird line for her to say.
It was so random.
Like, so random.
Yeah. So it had to have been in reference to that movie.
Yeah, it had to be. You're absolutely right. I didn't catch the reference, so I thought it was just a really
weird line.
Dumb line. Yeah. So Ivy says to her, I will never allow my son to be saddled with Julian's bastard to raise. Well, you saddled Julian with Sam's bastard to raise.
I mean.
Yeah.
So Theresa says, excuse, like a switch kind of flips in Teresa's eyes. Her eyes go like dark. She says, excuse me, my son is not a bastard, Ivy. He is a crane. In fact, he is one of the few legal cranes in this house. So wise up, lady. I am here to stay. She wasn't wrong there. I did appreciate that.
Yeah. And technically, he wasn't really a bastard, because Theresa and Julian were married when that child was born.
Yeah, exactly. So Julian, at this point, Theresa like goes out into the hallway, I guess. I don't know exactly what happens. Well, Ivy's stuck in that room because her wheelchair is not moving. Yeah. So she leaves Ivy in that room, and Julian catches up to Theresa in the hallway. He gives her the divorce papers, because he says, I heard that Ethan's going to be proposing to you this very night, and I can make things easier for you. Here are the divorce papers, and we can get a divorce, and we'll be done and over with, right? And she says, oh my God, Julian, great. Just show me where to sign. And she signs the fucking papers.
Insanity.
And on the one hand, this is a good thing for our defense of Theresa not being a gold digger, right? Because it has never really been about the money for her. It has only ever been about Theresa. On the other hand, girl, this is dumb as hell.
Yeah. I was like, you've learned nothing in your time being a crane. We got lawyers for a reason. Yeah. Right? Why does Julian have a lawyer on standby to be able to even create this in the first place? Yeah. Okay. Somebody got to review the terms.
Yeah. How'd you get these divorce papers at 3 a.m.? I don't know what time it is.
Yeah. Who knows what time it is? The man she wants to marry is a lawyer. She could have asked him to look it over.
Yep. That's what I thought she might do. I said Woody, but I was like, well, Ethan might. I thought maybe Ethan would intervene or something.
Yeah.
But no.
At the same time, he's actually Ivy's lawyer, so he'll probably be like, yeah, divorce him, because it's really Ivy's money.
Yeah, but he's Teresa's lawyer too. He was her lawyer for her murder trial.
Conflict of interest. This is
So she signs these papers. Come on, Theresa. But whatever. She's happy. So I'm happy. Okay, girl. He goes back to his room. He and Rebecca decide they're gonna celebrate in their own little gross way, right? And let's see. Do I have they're gonna celebrate. What's this? I had to change my buttons around. So it's in a different place than it used to be. I deleted the whole show by accident. All of the sounds got deleted from my board, and now they're in different places. God. But whatever, I'll get used to it. Yeah. Anyway,
just in time for your break.
I know. I was like, God damn it. So she signs the papers. He goes back to celebrate with Rebecca, and Rebecca and he start like, you know, doing their sexy thing. And then she pushes Julian to marry her immediately. She's like, okay, now that he's going to get his divorce from Theresa, that means he can marry me. And he hems and haws. He's like, but I'm just gonna be divorced from Theresa. Could you give me a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of time? And she's like, no, it would be a real shame if I had to testify against you in an attempted murder trial, considering I know that you tried to kill Sheridan more than once. And not only that, I would hate to have to turn you over to Antonio and Luis. They'd do worse to you than the criminal justice system would do, right? And so, of course, we're back to Rebecca's blackmailing Julian into marrying her. Okay,
yeah,
it's not a bad plan. You know,
it was her original plan.
Yeah,
before Theresa married him.
She hit a hiccup in the road when Theresa married Julian, but we're back to her original plan. And it's not a bad plan. She says, I just love you too much to have to send you to jail or to have to turn you over to Luis and Antonio. So Pookie, when are we getting married? So Julian's found himself in another pickle. He could and he could have just stayed married to Theresa for a little bit, right? And just, you know, still slept with Rebecca, but he knows that he can't go anywhere near Theresa anyway, right?
Right.
So anyway, Gwen takes her pregnancy test. And this echoes prego.
Yep.
She's pregnant. And
because it's Ethan's baby is why she's in pain, why she's fainting, because it's going to be an idiot. Like his father.
Well, you know,
Maria.
No, but wait a minute, Maria. There's like science to back that up, kind of, because
wait, really?
Yes, it's not that the baby's gonna be an idiot, but that a lot of the like negative things that happen during pregnancy are because of the male's like DNA and sperm and stuff. And so like if you're very, very sick, morning sickness is attributed to like the male sperm. If you're having miscarriages and things like that, it also a lot of times is actually because of the man, not because of you. There's a lot of science to back those things up. So it actually is Ethan's fault.
I mean, technically, yes.
Yes, it actually is. Like the whole thing, all of it's Ethan's fault.
Whole thing.
Everything is his fault. But yeah, she says, I'm pregnant with Ethan's baby. Yeah, you are, unfortunately. Oh, yeesh. Oh, God.
I mean, they were sleeping together. They were together.
Literally.
Like, they were in a relationship. This would have actually have been a great news.
Yeah.
It could have been great news, but it's bad news now for.
Well, yeah, now.
Yeah. So Ethan and Gwen have a conversation where Gwen, after she starts to kind of come to terms with the fact that she's pregnant, she doesn't tell Ethan immediately at this exact moment. But he comes to check on her because she was sick, and he comes in. He's like, "How are you feeling?" She's like, He's like, "Is anything wrong?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Things have changed.
Yeah. She speaks very kind of cryptically to him, but eventually she tells him that she's pregnant, and he says, "Is it mine?
Dude, I would have slapped
yours?" That
I would have slapped him
off.
I would have slapped the fuck out of him.
Where is my?
What do you mean?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I hate him.
Oh my God.
I hate him. What do you mean? Is it yours?
You know what? She should have said, no, that's why I'm leaving. All right. I'm
it's
out.
Chuck's, the paperclip here.
It's Chuck. Yes, let's bring back Chuck.
Bring back Chuck.
Chuck. Bring back Chuck.
He's like, is it mine? Which I think is just such a disgusting question to ask her.
Literally.
Yeah.
She's like, of course it's yours. Who else's would it be? Like, we have been sleeping together.
Yes.
And she has been with him constantly. Right?
When would she have time?
Where would she, when would she have done that? And that really, really pissed me off. But it also was just such a again, I will just reiterate that Ethan is not a good guy. He's not a good guy. They try to play him up like he's this great, noble, wonderful man. He's not. Because a good guy would not have asked that of the woman that he's been sleeping with continuously for many, however long they've been sleeping together, and that he loves, and that he was about to marry. If you thought that she could possibly be pregnant with somebody else's baby, why were you even about to propose to her? You know what I mean?
Because that's Ethan and what he would do. He wants to see two people. So he was maybe thinking she would see two people. Yeah. I get, you know what? You're absolutely right. He's projecting onto her what he's been doing, cheating. Yeah.
And so, and I want to say this because people are going to be like, Ethan didn't cheat. Ethan's not been cheating. Maybe he's not been kissing Theresa, but he's definitely been emotionally involved with her. You know what I mean? He refuses to let her go. And
he did cheat on her the first time.
Yes, he did cheat.
He definitely cheated the first time.
He definitely cheated the first time. Yep. But I just want to say for the people, for the 1% of Ethan defenders, that
are there any?
There are Ethan defenders. I can tell you that. But I can
really.
Yes.
Tell them to join the watch party. We need to ask questions.
No. Because here's the thing. I can find middle ground on Theresa and Gwen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm very, very anti-Ethan. Like, the more I watch the show, when I first started this journey, I wasn't. Mm-hmm. But as I by the time we got to maybe episode 50, 60, I was like, I think it might be him.
It might be the problem.
Yeah, I think it might be him. Mm-hmm. That I don't like. I just didn't realize it because I was a child and I was and we were given these messages that like women should be fighting each other and like
Men are the prize.
That's the narrative, and that's the narrative of the show, right? The show tells you that it's one or the other is the bad guy. This woman or this woman, and this guy's just stuck in the middle. But that's not what's happening.
Except for Grace
inserting
and
himself
Sam
between these two women and stringing them both along.
Yeah. Except for Sam, he's the only one that is in the middle.
Yeah.
Sort of. Between Grace and that dynamic is a little bit different.
Sam's whole thing isn't I don't think anybody's whole thing is quite as extreme as like the Ethan, Theresa, and Gwen triangle.
Yeah.
As far as like somebody really kind of pulling people along. But I will say Sam's issue is that Sam refuses to be completely honest with himself and with Grace.
Right.
Yeah. Because he does have feeling for Ivy. But you know what? They're not even in this week, Ivy and Sam.
I was just bringing it up because of David and him after Grace, which
we have. That's coming up here in a little bit. We got to get through. Through Ethan and Theresa. We're almost done with this, though.
We are.
Yes.
So he says, "Is it mine?" She's like, "Of course it is." And then he says, "Well, this changes everything." But she says, "No, it doesn't. This changes nothing. I'm still moving to New York. You're still going to marry Theresa." And Ethan, like, he looks like sick. He looks confused. He looks lost. He looks dazed. He's just grappling with this new information, which to his credit is a big bombshell on him, right? Like, this is a huge, she just told him she's pregnant with his child and she's leaving, right? Which he already clearly doesn't want her to leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then on top of that, now she's pregnant. Yeah. So, Gwen, he's like, well, we have a lot we need to discuss. We need to talk about things. Gwen's like, I can't talk to you right now. She's like, and she handles this so maturely because she's an adult, right? And she says to him, yes, we do need to talk about this. And we will talk about this. We're just not going to do it tonight. We're not going to do it now. But because I have somewhere else to be, I have to leave here. Right. And like I said, she said her condition changes nothing. But she also tells him, please do not tell Theresa until after I tell my mother and Ethan agrees, which is a reasonable, like, you shouldn't be telling people, you know, this it's not necessarily Theresa's business at this moment.
Yeah.
And so as soon as he leaves out of Gwen's room, he runs into Theresa, and Theresa's like, oh my goodness, why do you look so serious? And she says to him, you know, I talked to Ivy, and I know she was not on board, but I think with time that she'll come around, basically. And then she says, so you talked to Gwen, right? And you got everything cleared away? There's nothing holding you back? So go ahead. You can ask me. You already know what the answer's going to be. And Ethan tells her, well, something serious came up. I need to be alone. I have to go for a walk. I need to be by myself. Theresa, understandably, worries that he has changed his mind. But then she's like, no, I'm sure it's fine. But that doubt is there. That seed of doubt is there already. So,
and it should be, because he flip-flops.
Yep. He is infamous. Again, 3 hours ago, he told you he was going to propose to Gwen. He told you he bought that ring for Gwen. I mean, he was kind of mean about it, to be honest. He was like, give me back my ring. Like, you know. So, yeah, she has every reason to be concerned. Ethan goes down to the wharf to think about these two women. We get the weirdest montage. We get the weirdest montage of these.
Yeah.
Of this.
And why did he go to the wharf? Why do you have to go so far from the house?
He needed to get some of that good old sea air, I guess.
He needed to breathe it in.
I guess. Oh, but also the wharf is like where he and Theresa like kissed for the first time, so that could also be part of it. I'm probably projecting that, but it is where they kissed for the first time, or where they had like their first real kiss, because their first kiss,
where he intentionally went to her.
because their first kiss, he just was like in a weird fantasy. Remember that, like their little when they were in that carriage,
in the cabin, when he thought it was Gwen and he didn't pay attention and he kissed her.
I thought it was in that carriage. Didn't the carriage thing happen first? When it was he thought he kind of got carried away.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't that he necessarily thought she was Gwen. He kind of got like carried away in this like weird marriage fantasy. But anyway, yes, the wharf is where they kiss for the first time on purpose, I guess.
Yeah.
So, he's down there trying, just steam blowing off his head, just struggling. And we get this montage of him and Theresa and Gwen, and like his times with him and Theresa, times with him and Gwen. It was very weird. I didn't like it. I was like, if you are in this much like agony and turmoil, you should not be marrying anyone at all.
Exactly.
At all. So,
those two brain cells were working overtime.
Right.
Very much so. Very much so. So, that's basically it. At one point, I don't know if this is going to be important or not, because I don't remember something like this happening, but Ivy gets like a member of the maintenance staff to come and fix her wheelchair to hook it back up. And he tells her that if her wires keep coming loose like this, her chair could go up in flames. So it didn't feel like a complete like throwaway line, right? Like it felt like, oh, that could happen to Ivy, because she's been pulling it out herself too, right?
Right.
So that's all I have for them. Y'all have anything to add?
We hit everything.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so now we're ready to go on to what's going on between Chad and Whitney. There's very little to talk about here. So Kay and Simone go to the book cafe to recap what they saw between Chad and Whitney, which was a reminder for everybody that they saw Chad and Whitney basically talking about their whole stupid little plan to gaslight Simone into breaking up with Chad and for them to be together. And then she saw them kissing, and so she's upset. And they're at the book cafe, and Simone says, my sister stole my boyfriend right from under my nose. And she says, what am I supposed to do now? Simone asks Kay for advice, of all people. And
who she's always complaining about.
I know.
Literally.
And her ideas.
I know.
So you're going to go to her.
That's what I'm saying. Of all people, the main person that you are constantly saying is like basically evil and bad and horrible,
evil to Harmony, and he don't love you.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
Chad don't love you neither.
Exactly. You would think that Simone would like have a more buy a vowel, Simone. You would think that she would have more sensitivity about this situation, considering, okay, I've seen Kay go through kind of a similar situation, but and I've been giving her this advice, X, Y, and Z advice. She can't take her own advice.
Nope.
Right? No,
Right.
instead she goes to Kay to see what Kay's got up her sleeve. And what does Kay tell her to do? Have sex with him.
Because the magic vajayjay worked for her.
Simone
Simone
says.
says that exact line. She's like, and that works so great for you.
Yeah.
Yep. She says, is that your best advice? And she's like, yeah, that you had sex with Miguel and look at you. So, and Simone says, well, you know, she says, you keep trying to get me to do what you did, but what you did didn't even work. Miguel still wants to be with Charity, and he didn't even make love to her. He made love to you, and he didn't even make love to her. He still wants to be with her. So eventually, Simone's like, don't you have anything else besides this? And Kay's like, well, there is something else you could do. She says, we did overhear that part of their plan is that Whitney needs to win tournaments, right? So you could do something to sabotage Whitney, sabotage her game. She suggests that she basically Tanya Harding her own sister, or
Nancy Kerrigan.
Well,
Nancy
I guess because she would be Tanya Harding, Simone would be Tanya Harding, and Whitney would be Nancy Kerrigan. But so she says you need to come up with a way to ruin Whitney's tennis match, throw her off her game. Simone has like some misgivings about this at first. One, because she's like, but tennis is like Whitney's life. Tennis, Whitney has worked so hard. I'm her biggest fan. And then the other part of it is it would kill my father. It would really hurt my father if Whitney doesn't win. But Kay tells her, well, that would be even more reason that Whitney would not be able to come out with her relationship with Chad because she's not winning. Right. And so Simone hears this and is like, you know what? You're making some valid points. I'm gonna do it. I'll do it. She does do it reluctantly, but she does decide to figure out a way to sabotage her sister's game. Meanwhile, Chad and Whitney are making love at the studio, and Chad gives her a garnet necklace, which is her birthstone, which is January's birthstone apparently. So Whitney was born in January. We figured that out. But that's it. That's all I have for Chad and Whitney. You have anything else?
Oh, I did want to point out that when they're at the book cafe and they get up and walk toward a bookcase, on the bookcase there's like 8 copies of Hidden Passions.
Oh,
you
for real?
Didn't notice it?
Oh, I did not notice that.
Yeah.
I also want to state that, did you notice anything Halloween? Did you notice anything Halloween related at the book cafe when they were in there?
No.
Because it's still Halloween.
No, not a thing.
This night is Halloween.
It was Halloween?
This night has been Halloween. It was Halloween for a couple of weeks. That's why Cecil and
the longest
and
night
Connie,
in history.
Literally, it's Halloween.
Cecil
That's
and Connie
right. That's right.
were
Yeah.
dressed up,
As-
wreaking havoc as Richard Nixon, I think, and Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
So this night
think so.
that we've been in was Halloween, and now this night is no longer Halloween.
No.
Like, we're not seeing anything about it anymore. So anyway, that's it.
I think what's important to point out is that Chad doesn't seem to care about her getting rest. He just wants to get it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, she keeps trying to leave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she tries to leave multiple times. And he's like, yeah, let me just show you how much I love you.
Yeah,
And
I just
she's
got
like,
something to show you in my pants.
Yeah.
But the whole
And Whitney's
point
like, oh
of
my
their
God,
plan,
stop.
the point of the plan was to do great on the game. You're already trying to sabotage her already.
Well,
don't
maybe he
care.
thinks that it'll make her. It's more of a power up if they, if he,
Power up that.
yeah, exactly. He got to power up the P.
Oh.
My Siri was like, "What was that?" Sorry. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Anyway,
It's nice that they're bringing the tennis thing back. Like, it's actually a storyline. We've been waiting
it's part of
since
the
the
storyline.
first episode for this to be a storyline.
Now, will we actually see the tennis?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering are we going to see her actually play a match?
Yeah, that would be.
You do.
You do?
Maybe not seeing her. You'll see her on the court. I don't
Right.
remember if she actually played, but you'll see her on the court with her dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. She puts on a uniform.
Yes.
Yeah, that's more than we've seen for 500 episodes.
Yep.
So great. All right, y'all ready to move on to troubled marriages?
Let's do it.
Dun, dun. Okay, we're gonna start with the Liz Eve TC stuff. So we pick up, and I talked about this a little bit in the Shuis storyline, where Antonio and Liz are having a conversation about how Liz is saddened to be losing her love all over again, which is Antonio, because he's dying. And then they talk about how she kept pushing him away in their relationship, and that she just couldn't trust anyone, and it cost her her one chance at happiness and love. And he assures her that someone's out there for her, and he questions her about why she shut down on him in the first place, right? And again, I'm not going to relitigate it, but we all know that this is a rewrite. We've talked about it, but I just want to say it again. It bears repeating that this is some bullshit.
Yep.
And I hate it
completely.
Yep.
But I'm gonna keep telling it how Passion's told it. So he tells her there's someone out there for her. He questions her about why she shut down and why, what it was that was keeping her from being able to be open with him and kept pushing him away. And she says, I don't want to talk about it. And he's like, there you go again, shutting me out. Well, we're not together anymore. So I don't owe you openness. But she decides to open up, and she says, you know what, you're right. And she explains that she trusted someone once, and she trusted them and loved them, but they turned their back on her and stabbed her in the back, and she's never gotten over that betrayal. And then she reveals that it was her sister, and that her sister left her behind in a home that was a troubled home, and she left without saying goodbye. But when they were together in that home, it felt like that they could, they were in it together, and that they could get through anything together. But she felt so betrayed when her sister left without even saying goodbye. And she says she left me all alone to deal with the bad things in our family. And she says, I thought we would be together through thick and thin. I thought it was just going to be the two of us against the world, but she had other plans for herself, at least. I want to say this. I just don't see this being that bad. Like, she left without saying goodbye. Yes, that's shitty. I agree. That's shitty. It is shitty. But you're telling me that y'all were basically children in this home together, right? Sisters who are maybe teenagers. Maybe Eve was 18 and decided to go strike out on her own. But they were basically young women, teenagers. I'm sorry, I can't fault Eve completely for leaving and an abusive situation. Right. And I do get Liz being hurt by it, but you have to save yourself first.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And like, Liz is upset that they were in like this abusive home. And we don't know the extent of it. It just, it's just like very general right now. But it sounds to me that they both were enduring some abuse, right?
Yeah. When did it become Eve's responsibility to take care of Liz?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Your sisters. She's not your parent. She doesn't owe you to take you with her when she leaves. It's unfortunate. I do see how you would be hurt by that. Absolutely. Absolutely. You would be hurt by that. And it would cause, a lot of pain. But to be calling Eve like a vile, evil, horrible person who stabbed me in the back, and that's the framing is wrong. The framing is completely wrong. And I think that's what irritates me about Liz's like version of events. But she goes on to say that she thought that her sister would come back for her. So she was there, Eve left, and she thought that her sister would come back, but she never did. And then she found her on her own. She was like, I found my sister, and I couldn't recognize who she had become. She was a singer in a seedy bar. She'd gotten involved with drugs and drinking. Sounds like a fun life. I don't know. It's like, girl, we're in our 20s. We're singing in clubs. We're drinking. We're doing we're doing a bump here or there. Like, who hasn't?
And if she's doing drugs, a lot of times it's so that it's an escape. And she's probably trying to mentally escape from the abuse.
From the abuse. Exactly. It's like you can't, like, obviously, it's not like you don't want everybody just going off and doing, absolute insanity. But, like, you can understand why she was off looking for something to take her mind off of the chaos that she left at home.
Yeah.
Yes.
However you want to interpret that, your personal self, that's your business.
Yeah. I think with Eve too, that it's important that we talk about the fact that we're looking at this through like our 2025 lens.
Right.
And that in 2002, conversations around addiction were not being had the way that we have them now. Yeah. There was not a lot of empathy in the conversation around addiction. It was obviously very heavily criminalized, but also just like such a huge stigma around addiction. And like now we talk about addiction as what it is, which is you're basically in a health crisis, right?
Right.
Yes.
But and then there's also like straight up like in the Black community, like talking about it that already in itself was a whole situation.
Yeah.
So, and even now, I mean, it's definitely better now, but back then,
yeah, it's like there was no conversation around like alcoholism or drug abuse being an illness. Just like it's like it is a moral failing. You are a bad person because you have become addicted to a substance. Yep. And so I think that's another reason that it's hard for me now to kind of look at this and see how upset she is. And it's especially hard for me to listen to the language around like she was drinking and doing drugs and she was nothing more than a common tramp. And it's like you just said, it was an escape, right?
Yeah.
She was practically a child who had come up in some sort of horrible, which Liz knows instantly what the horrible situation was. And yeah, so I don't know. Liz just keeps going on. She says that she begged her sister to leave with her, but she wouldn't. And she loved the life that she loved that life that she was living more than she loved me. She chose the drugs and the sex and the low life clubs over anything that I could possibly offer her. It was bad enough when she abandoned me the first time, but the second time after I found her, that broke my heart. That broke me. My own sister robbed me of any happiness that I could have hoped to have. And it's like, you found her. She said, and actually now I'm not saying this is right, but in the flashback that we get, Eve tells her to come on.
She does. She says, girl, I got something good that's going to make you feel nice. Come to this party with me.
She says, I have a party to go to. Come to this party with me. Yep. She tells her to come on. So it's not like she abandoned her. You chose not to go to the party. Now, I'm not saying you should have gone to the party.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you saw your sister. You don't have any compassion for her. You see her and you have said yourself, she had become somewhat unrecognizable to you, right? And you don't have any compassion for that. She was like, had been laid so low in her life and had clearly hit like a rough place in her life. But again, they both were basically children. In my mind, right? I can only imagine they were late teens at this point. if they're trying to escape home.
Yeah.
And so I also can see Liz's point of view, like as a wounded young girl. I could see that wounded child in her. But you're a grown woman now.
Yes.
And you have to see things from a different perspective. You have to try to see things from a different perspective, especially when you find your sister again and she's turned her life entirely around.
Yes.
He's so proud of her.
Yes.
It like escaping that life and turning herself not even just like becoming something. She became a doctor.
Yeah.
Of everything.
Of everything. Okay. We all know you got 4 years of med school, then you got residency, then you have your what's the other
fellowships
one?
Or something.
Your fellowship, exactly. And this girl, she's a psychiatrist, she's a pediatrician, she's an a regular internal medicine doctor.
OBGYN.
I mean,
She's an ER doctor.
She got at least 30 years.
She even is certified in hypnotism. She also is certified in lie detector.
There we go. She got a criminal justice degree as well.
She is the city coroner. She also she's the medical examiner in Harmony.
Just how 40 years worth of specialties that she has become.
Yeah.
You could be looking at your sister and being like, bravo. And you got a man and you got 2 kids.
And she's a pillar of this community. Now, I am very quick to say, outside of like the canon of passions, that Eve is terrible. But in canon, they think she's amazing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and Liz's life is not that bad. You're on an island. You have a resort. You know how to fly a plane. You have a plane.
You own a plane.
You own a plane.
You own a plane.
You own a plane.
And a resort.
You own real estate. Okay.
Yeah.
In paradise.
On an island.
In paradise. On an island. In 2025, I'm trying to hope at one day I will own a piece of land.
And her greatest grievance is that she didn't end up with Antonio. Girl, she did you a favor. She did you a favor.
That man is a grifter. That man is a grifter.
Yes. So anyway, Antonio,
oh Lord.
After Liz gives this speech about how she found her sister and she left again and blah blah blah, Antonio says it's hard to imagine one sister doing that to another. And I was like, isn't that exactly what the fuck you did to your family? Shut the fuck up. Please shut up. And I already made that point before, but I'm making it again because he did the same thing.
The exact same thing.
Yep.
Yes. And he didn't even grow up in an abusive household.
Oh,
he doesn't really have much of an excuse.
Nope. He left them so destitute they had to send his baby sister to Mexico because they couldn't afford her.
Yeah. So, now this is when Eve speaks up and anybody who is in this room should understand that clearly Eve's the sister, right? Because Eve gets so emotional and she says, well, did you ever think that maybe your sister did what she had to do because she had to? Maybe she didn't have a choice. Maybe she was dying inside, living at home. She knew she couldn't survive it one more day. Maybe she didn't think of it as running away from you, but from running away for her life. I love that. I love what Eve said. I did. Maybe she didn't think about it as running away from you, but running for her life.
And she tried to take her with her.
She was going to die. She felt like she was going to die.
Yeah. And
maybe she was.
Yeah.
And maybe she should have tried to make a plan with her sister that they could have gone away together, but she didn't. She didn't. And that's unfortunate, but it is also, Eve's biggest issue here, or the worst thing Eve did here, was be selfish. And when it comes to your life, you have to be selfish. To me, it sounds like she was like, I was going to die there. And I needed to run away she said for her life. She ran for her life. Now, I don't particularly remember how bad their situation was at home, but I also recall it not actually being all that bad, but I could be wrong about that.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
'Cause
I
I
remember that she had
remember-
an incident, but not at home.
Exactly.
Something happened at a
Yeah,
bar or at
something
the
happened
club
to Liz.
that is
Yeah.
very traumatic, but
Yeah.
I don't want to like spoil it.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
that does
Yeah.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But as far as like their home life, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
But this is daytime, and they're really big on doing like PSAs. So like the whole thing is like drugs are bad.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
why singing is bad,
Right.
I don't.
but they put those two together. And obviously, don't be a tramp. Don't sleep around.
Right.
Yeah. Don't be a tramp.
Even though we got people sleeping around all over this town.
All over.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, her daughter right now is getting
Literally.
some.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? The parallel that she's complaining about her sister. So the sister dynamic.
Yeah.
Eve's daughters are going against each other now.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Winnie doesn't know, but Simone is about to go after her sister.
Yeah. I think like last week or the week before, maybe I kind of drew that parallel between that Liz is the Simone and Whitney is the Eve of their relationship, of those relationships,
Yeah.
and the parallels kind of hold,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
TC is probably the abusive person in the home.
In the home.
Because you do
Right.
sometimes tend to marry your parent.
Yeah, that's true. And he does have like anger issues.
And Liz picked up on it. You'll
She-
get there.
Yeah, she
Immediately.
did. So Eve says, maybe she had a reason, right? And she had to run for her life. And Liz says she shouldn't have left me alone. There's no way you can justify what she did. She threw me to the wolves without a second thought. She was just out for herself. And then she says she's here in Harmony, and I made a vow that if I ever ran into her again, I would do what she did to me. I would get my revenge. Again, she threw you to the wolves. She left you where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You want to do the same to her? Leave.
Right.
Go back to the island.
Go back home. Bye.
Leave.
Oh, that's so funny. You want to do the same? Leave. Then there's like more nonsense about Liz being the reason that Antonio and her aren't together. And he says that they would have stayed together because he loved her, blah, blah, blah. I don't fucking care. Then TC says to Eve, did you ever hear such an awful story? Imagine your own sister turning against you. I mean, what kind of monster would do something like that? And then he asks Liz who her sister is and what her sister's name is. And they kind of pressure her about that. And she runs out crying. Like she doesn't say anything. And Antonio looks at Eve because for the first time in his life, he bought a vowel. He for the first time in his life, he got a clue. He looks at Eve and
hamster
says,
woke up in the wheel.
Yeah.
his one part of his brain thawed out, and he looks at Eve and says, "Eve, are you Liz's sister?" TC flies off the handle.
Oh my god.
He says, "Tell me you didn't just ask my wife that she was Liz's sister. Did you hear what she said about that woman? That she was a heartless monster, completely different from my wife." And so while TC's like going off on Antonio, Eve catches up to Liz. She goes out to Liz and she's like, "And you call me heartless? What was that?" You say I'm the one with no heart. How can you torturing me like that? How could you treat me? I'm a human being. Or how could you treat me like that? I'm a human being, basically. And she says, "You are the one who doesn't have any soul or compassion." This is Eve to Liz. And then she's like, "Now I have apologized to you for what happened, but that just wasn't good enough for you." Now I want to just remind everybody, Eve's apology was not a good one. It was not a good
Not
apology.
sincere.
No, I think she is kind of sorry, But if Eve didn't make the choices that Eve made, Eve would not be where she is, right?
Right.
So I think she understands and knows that. So when she apologized, it was very much, I'm sorry, okay? It wasn't she wasn't contrite in any way. She wasn't it didn't seem like deeply remorseful. It wasn't tender. It was frantic. It was like, I'm sorry, now shut up and leave, right?
Yeah. Don't blow up my spot.
Yeah, exactly. It was like she's trying to cover her own ass. She's like, I apologize to you for what happened, but that wasn't good enough for you. And Liz says, damn right, it wasn't good enough. The only reason you apologized was to make yourself feel better. And that's just tough because I know better. You are the same miserable sister you were all those years ago when you abandoned me. And she says, save the phony histrionics for TC. Everything I said in there was true, and you cannot deny any of it. You are despicable, Eve. Despicable. I mean, the words that she uses on Eve are, when we know, now that we know basically the whole story, it's like, girl, grow up.
It's not that serious.
You are despicable, Eve, and by the time I'm through with you, everyone is going to know how you really are, including your husband and daughters. So you better be enjoying your life as a doctor and a mother and a wife right now, because it ain't going to last. And then she says something about trust and commitment are something about how important trust and commitment are in a marriage. Everything I saw growing up. I don't know what that means. Does anybody know what that note means?
I think it was something about like, it's important. Trust and commitment are important, like for her and TC.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, but I'm about to snatch your man away because you're not being truthful.
Yes. So Eve tells her, I was young, I was stupid, I was impressionable. Exactly. That. Yes. These are all valid excuses or explanations, at least.
Right.
And she says, and I did make a bad mistake. Yes, but did I ever intentionally set out to hurt you? No. Liz says, intentionally or not, you destroyed my life.
Wow.
Those are big words.
Big words.
And on the one hand, I do agree. When people are like, well, I didn't mean to, it's like, it doesn't matter it doesn't always matter what your intention is, because what was the result, right? So I do understand Liz saying, like, it doesn't matter that you didn't intend to hurt me. You did hurt me, right? But on the other hand, saying, like, you destroyed my life. I mean, you saw Eve leave, you leave.
Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe I'm being a little too flippant about it. Maybe it's not that, I'm sure it's not that easy. And I know it's not that easy. She was young. Where was she going to go? Like, Eve had Julian, I imagine,
at some
backing
point,
her up.
At some point, yeah.
But where was Liz supposed to go? So I need to give Liz a little bit more grace on this. I think because their situations are not we're not the same necessarily.
But
what you got?
When Eve first left, she did not have Julian. She just left, right?
I see. That's the thing. I'm not sure.
Like, I mean, to our knowledge, like, where would she?
Well, Julian found her as a singer, so she had to leave, start to be a singer, and then meet Julian.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like,
I can get down. I guess in my mind, I was thinking that maybe she had been like sneaking out to sing, but it makes more sense that she left, started singing to like make money, and then met Julian. That makes way more sense.
Yeah, so she was doing that, like, she did what she had to do. She left. She, was like, okay, I got a voice. Let me use my voice to figure out how I'm going to survive out here.
Yeah.
Her sister could have done the same thing and left that house. Maybe not in the same maybe not in the same exact way, but she could have left. Kids leave all the time. They say, I'm tired of you people. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. I'm out, right?
Well, that's too damn bad.
That's too damn bad.
Look,
They
Beth
get
is
out.
trying to leave, okay? Beth is trying to leave, but Edna won't let her.
You know what? You know what though? It actually, I think, unintentionally for Passions, they actually did a kind of a good job of showing how hard it is to leave an abusive situation, right? Because Beth, it's very easy for me as a woman who does not have an abusive mother and didn't grow up with an abusive mother to say, oh, she would have been in a home. Like, no, she would have been, we'd be no contact. It's very easy for me to say that. But if you have been psychologically oppressed by your mother your entire fucking life, I can't even imagine how hard it would be to kind of like separate. They are trauma bonded together, right?
Yeah.
And I feel, I guess I can extend that to Liz as well. I can extend that to Liz as well. They are showing us it is tough to leave an abusive situation. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think they meant to show us that. I don't think they meant to show us that.
And Eve's actions also kind of show that she has a shady past because Orville.
Oh,
and all the other shit she's done. Like, she's not above having a shady past and doing shady things now.
Yeah, no, she's not. As I've stated many, many times, Eve is a villain. Eve's a bad guy, actually, on this show. The amount of people she's drugged up. She's keeping this town drugged up. Oh, do you need a sedative or something to quiet your nerves? Let me see. She's keeping them all drugged up.
Is something to quiet your nerves.
She needs to give some to Liz.
Yeah, and some of them she's keeping locked up. Won't let me out. Right? She had Orville and Charity locked up.
Yes.
She had that baby girl locked up.
I forgot she had her locked up. That is so true.
Yeah, she's bad. So Eve says, well, you're wrong, because basically, what's her name? Liz is like, I'm gonna destroy your life, take TC, blah blah, whatever. She says, TC loves me. He loves me with his whole heart. And if you tell him, he's going to get upset and he's going to be angry, but he's not going to leave me because he loves me. And he is not going to let our marriage fall apart. Liz says, how did you get through med school with such simplistic thinking? And I've been saying, I don't know if she actually graduated. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know if she actually did that work or if Alistair paid for her to just get through med school. They paid for her degree. Because, girl, how did you get through med school thinking like that? She goes on to say, I've known TC for only a short while, and already I got a better take on him than that. Your man has some deep anger buried inside him. Now, I don't know, but I guess that once TC finds out that the one person that he loved and trusted most betrayed him, he's going to feel exactly the way I do. So get ready to be busted, Eve. TC's going to take your daughters and kick you out of his life so fast your head will spin. Eve's like, no, you're wrong. He loves me. And this is when TC comes in. Or he doesn't come in, he's yelling. We hear him from the other room because they're in one room. Yes. And we hear him yelling from the other room at Antonio. How the hell could you think that my wife was the backstabbing whore that Liz was talking about? Oh my God.
No, he doesn't have anger issues.
No, he'll be fine. He'll get over it. No. He's really gonna take it in stride.
His voice just likes to project.
Yeah, he has a very, very resonant tone. It just carries. Mm-hmm. No, he yells, how could you think that my wife was that backstabbing whore that Liz was talking about? And then Liz says to Eve, I hear love's a beautiful thing, but betrayal can wreak a lot of damage. Am I right? And then she says, TC does have some issues with anger, doesn't he? Yes. And then we hear TC yelling again. Eve is nothing like Liz's low-life sister. Nothing at all. My wife is the most caring and compassionate woman I have ever met. I thank God every day for her being in my life. My wife is an angel. She is nothing like Liz's low-life sister. My wife mends lives. She doesn't destroy them. And Liz says, still think TC's going to stand by you after he hears what you've done? Yeah. So, he's proving Liz's point.
Yep.
Unbeknownst to him. And
Antonio, we've all known that he has anger issues.
Yes, of course. But what's that girl's name? Eve. Eve knows it too, because one of her biggest things in this whole situation where she doesn't want to be exposed specifically for having a past with Julian is that she's worried that he will murder Julian and go to jail.
Yeah, but that's everyone. Everyone thinks that when they find something out, they're going to murder them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's so stupid. So Antonio tries to calm down TC. He's like, I'm sorry, but I just don't get why Liz would have said that. She said that her sister was right here. Now, who else could she have met? And once again, Antonio actually picked up it's not even a clue. It's not even just a vowel. It's like all the vowels.
Yeah.
Like all the vowels.
Figured it out.
All the consonants. It's the word for you there.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is when Liz and Eve go back into the living room, and Liz explains. She says, "Oh, Eve isn't my sister. Where would you get an idea like that?" And she says, "I just meant that she's here in Harmony." And then she takes Eve to the side and tells her, I just like to see you twisting in the wind until I expose you. You're not going to get off that easy. Like, I want to watch you suffer for a while. And TC again asks Liz, well, who's your sister? What's your sister's name? And this is when Eve gets called away to tend to Gwen. Mm-hmm. And Liz and TC go out onto the little patio, and he comforts Liz and tells her that he will help her get her payback on her sister. And I wrote here, he's not much of a counselor, because isn't he supposed to be a counselor? Albeit he says he's a grief counselor. Well, she's grieving her sister. Maybe you should help her through that instead of saying that you will help her get her revenge on this woman you don't even know, and you don't even know Liz.
Yeah,
you just met
Liz.
her like yesterday.
She could be completely crazy.
Yes.
She could be
I did
completely
make a
delusional.
note. I made a note that she looks at him like she wants to eat him. She loves it. Oh my God.
She want to devour him.
Oh my God.
She's super into TC. It's weird.
She loves that anger.
Yeah.
She's like, come beat me.
I think part of it though is I think part of it, she's just like, I want to take away from Eve what I never got to have. So I'm gonna snatch this man. It's happening. Yeah. So she's having that unhealthy obsession relationship. I don't know. Situation.
And they kind of deserve each other. They have the same sort of morals.
Yeah.
Oh
absolutely.
God, singing horrible. Her, the same thing. So go be together. I
agree. They're actually very similar in their very rigid thinking. He says to her, whoever because he wants her to tell him who this person is, and he says, whoever it is, they deserve to be punished.
Crazy.
For leaving. They deserve to be punished.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I'm surprised we've only used that once.
I think I used it twice.
No,
I think
twice.
it's the second time.
Twice.
I know. Okay. I'm surprised I only used it twice too. Again, my buttons are in different places, so I wasn't quite as fast on them this week. I'm gonna have to get used to the setup.
Not awesome.
But yeah, oh God, jeez, whoever it is, they deserve to be punished. He has such a hard on for this random person. He wants to destroy their life. This person who apparently is a pillar of his community. And he's ready to destroy their life, and allegedly is some kind of counselor.
Right.
Yeah.
And doesn't even want to hear.
No, I was gonna say, why is he trying to impress Liz?
I don't know.
I wonder if it's that he's trying to impress her as much as he's just almost like a bored housewife. He's just super into the drama. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like to me. He's just being like a messy housewife.
True.
There's something finally going on in town. I'm gonna be at the table where it happens, right? I want to be involved intimately and figure this whole thing out. He just doesn't have anything else to fucking do.
Yeah.
He's bored.
Maybe go coach.
I guess school's out. We never see these kids at school, so
ever.
Also true.
Even though it's Halloween.
and I'm sure he doesn't get many requests to be the counselor at the hospital. I'm sure not a lot of people choose him as their counselor. So he doesn't have shit else to do. He doesn't have anything else to do.
How about his daughter and her tennis career?
He already has her under his thumb. He's already got her like completely pressed and oppressed. Now he's moving on to another woman he can like find and like destroy.
What about his sugar bear? Does he not even know where his child is?
He doesn't remember her.
That girl.
He doesn't remember her.
She is dating a grown man and you're not worried about that?
He's already given her away to Chad. So he's like, okay, I've given her to Chad. So she's got her man. There's a man in her life to take care of her. So I don't have to worry about her anymore. No, he's the worst. Yeah, he's not the worst. Antonio is, but TC's close second.
TC made Antonio smart.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah. He did.
You sure it's not you?
Like, right? No, right? Because it was so obvious.
It was so obvious. And TC's like, I wonder who it could be. Like,
yeah.
What other black people are in this town except for your family, sir?
Exactly. Because especially now that she says she was her sister. I think Edna makes like a joke into that effect. But when Liz says my sister's right here and Edna's like, well, it can't be me. I only tan in the summertime.
Oh my God. We have not touched upon the fact that this woman is going around the house stealing shit.
We sure did not. Yeah, I love it. Edna's been going around the house just packing her bag with as much expensive stuff as she can. And she has a run-in with Julian, who's in his bathtub. I did not write it down. It was hijinks.
It was hijinks. It was hysterical. At some point when Julian's in the bathtub, he drops his cigar and then Ivy comes in and because she's delivering papers and he brings a cigar up and he goes, it's limp. And Ivy goes, that's appropriate.
Yeah. But didn't he also flirt with
Mrs. Wallace? Yeah, in the bathtub right after that.
She was almost like, you can't handle this kind of thing.
I feel like she flirted with him, but he was like disgusted.
No. He flirted back because she was like, no, she said something about, he was trying to get her out of the room.
Right.
Like, moving slow. And he was like, oh, you want me to get up out of here and help you? And she was like, like,
yeah.
He gave a little.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It was funny. It was hijinks.
It was hijinks. It was funny. It was funny. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I don't have anything left with the Liz, TC, Eve stuff. You got anything to add?
No.
Okay. So
yeah, no. I think. Wait, hold on. I have one left. TC tells Liz this must be hard for her too. Oh yeah, TC tells Liz this must be hard for her too when they were back with the Sheridan when everything's happening with Antonio. If it like he says if it wasn't for her sister, she would have had years together with Antonio, and it's just like I'm like, TC, no, that's not how this was going to work. Like, yeah, maybe they could have been together, but that doesn't mean that the sister leaving her or not supporting her or whatever means that they were for sure going to be together, because we all know that.
Right. Well, and I actually, I like that you made that point. The other thing that I want to add on to that is that at one point, Liz basically blames, not in so many words, but blames Eve for Antonio's accident, right? Like, she was like, none of this would have been happening if I had been able to just open myself up to Antonio. Yeah, because he never would have been in that second accident, but he would have been in that first accident. And apparently this second one just like exacerbated, like he had this thing,
and it made it worse.
Like made it worse. So he probably still would have been sick.
And I don't understand how she didn't open up to him. She let him stay at his hotel. She gave him a job. She followed him around. Like,
yeah. No, it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
It's a rewrite.
All right. So we're moving on to Sam, Grace, and David.
Yes.
I would say Ivy, but she's not really in this.
I think it was just one episode.
Yeah, but even though like Ivy doesn't interact with Sam and Grace in this.
Right. Yeah.
in this week. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that was a little uncomfortable with John. Dude, you're a
Oh.
grown man. You're acting like you're 10.
Well, you know what? I'm going to advocate for John coming up. Believe it or not, I'm gonna advocate for John and Grace. I am.
Wow.
Not like a lot, but
Okay.
but there's definitely a moment where Grace was right and Sam was wrong. So Sam and Grace are cuddling up on their like porch swing or like in their yard, and they're just talking about how, you know, they're happy they're together or whatever. They cuddle up, they kiss a little bit, and then things start to like heat up and like get a little, you know, little extra sexy. And Grace pushes him off like, no, we can't. What do you mean, no, we can't? I know we can't necessarily have sex, but we can't make out on the swings. I can't cop a feel.
I still don't understand why they can't have sex. They have kids.
I don't fully agree that they can't have sex either. Obviously, I don't agree at all. But you know, her whole thing is they can't be together. They can't be together as man and wife because they're not legally married in the eyes of God. Fine. I'll concede that. But y'all can't make out on this porch. What do you think? Y'all gonna fuck right here in the backyard? I should hope not.
It would have been hot. They should have.
It would be uncomfortable.
Oh.
On that wooden swing, splinters is all I can think.
You lay down a blanket.
If we're doing all that, we just might as well go in the house.
Go inside.
Do you have a swing inside?
I mean, he could build one. The man is good with his hands, okay? He just rebuilt that house. I mean, you could have added in a swing.
That's true. We need some custom built furniture in here. Some custom built-ins. So they're cuddling up on the swing. Things get a little hot and heavy. Grace pushes him off. No, we can't do this. And then he tells Grace that since David won't say that he doesn't love her. Oh, because they start to talk about the annulment. And he's like, we have to do something. We have to talk about this. And since David won't say that he doesn't love you so that you can get an annulment, will you please just get a civil divorce? And Grace says, no, that's not what I want to do. Right. Because he says, you can get a civil divorce, then we can be married by the justice of the peace. And she's like, a justice of the peace, Sam. And he says, then we'll be legally married and we could stop living the way we are, like brother and sister. Grace, I can come into our bedroom again and we can go back to living the way that we have been for the last 20 years. All you have to do is divorce David. And Grace says, I can't do that. And she says, Sam, we can't get married without the annulment. I mean, I am not going to send my children the wrong message. What message do you think you're sending them now? Look at Kay, for example. You know what? Look at Jessica. Nowhere to be fucking seen.
No.
You're sending her no messages.
Yeah.
We haven't seen her in how many episodes?
Definitely
not
ran
this
away.
night. Not this day.
The last time I saw Jessica, it was with her. She and Reese were together. Cracked Connie stole Reese's car. And there was something going on at the mansion. It was like a welcome home. It was a welcome home party for Antonio and Sheridan. And they were supposed to be going over there.
Yeah.
That's the last time I saw Jessica. We haven't seen her since. So, and neither have her parents.
Neither have her parents.
So
that's what I'm saying. Jessica pulled an Eve and she ran away. She said, I'm leaving this.
I'm leaving this. This is ridiculous. She says, I don't want to send the wrong message to our children. Well, I think, what message do you think it sends that you refuse to divorce David? What message does it send that you refuse to have their father sleeping in the bed with you? What message does it send that you are going basically flip flop, and they see it? Like Kay has seen Grace kissing David. Grace has seen Kay has seen how she's been acting with David. So what message do you think you're sending them by going back and forth between Sam and David and saying, oh, I love you, Sam, but I also love David. What message do you think that sends to your kids? You should choose something, choose a narrative and stick with it if you're trying to send a specific message to your children.
Yeah.
Because
And
otherwise,
the kids aren't going to care about the message. They just want you with their dad. It's their dad.
and also, I think if you are trying to set a good example, like religiously for your kids. Now, I'm not religious, so I don't care. But if you are trying to set a good example for your kids religiously, fine. I don't have any issues with that. But then it's very important for you to be clear, like have those conversations with them about what's going on in your household.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just find Grace to be, like Kay said, a hypocrite. I just think she's very much a hypocrite. And she's refusing to really be honest about what her feelings are for David and why she does. David was going to get the annulment, right? Like he was going to say he had signed the papers. He had signed the paperwork.
She stopped it from happening.
She stopped it. She stopped it. Yeah. And so I don't know. This whole it sends the wrong message to my children in regards to her like religious beliefs. It doesn't fly for me.
No.
It just I don't know. It feels like an excuse. Yeah, it feels like an excuse. Anyway, this is when David interrupts saying John has a fever. John has been sick in bed, and we see them at the B&B. John and David. David like checks his temperature, says he has a little fever, and John says he wants food from his mom. He's like, isn't it so cool that we're so close to mom now? And you know, I'm going to defend John in this. He's never had a mother. He's never had a mother,
I guess.
And
he just seems really immature for the age he's supposed to be.
Yeah, but you know, when you've grown up seeing on TV like kids getting, you know, treated really well by their parents, by their mothers, being nursed back to health, getting a bowl of chicken noodle soup from your mom. You know, even when I think about my own childhood and being sick, and like it was my mom was extremely comforting to me, right? She really took care of me, and it's what a mother should do, of course, but not everybody gets that. And since John never had that, I think that is really sad. Like he probably, you know, he had the chicken pox and he had to have David like taking care of him. You know, he's lucky to be alive. He had to go through all his childhood illnesses without a mother. And I'm not saying that fathers can't nurture children, because of course they can and should. I'm a big proponent of that. But you know, there's something very nurturing about mothers, and usually in general, you know, so he missed out on that. Yeah. I do feel for him. I do.
I just am mad that he asked for chicken noodle soup and tomato soup cake. Like, why?
Yeah, like, what is this illness you have?
Yeah.
Tomato soup cake?
How are you going to keep tomato soup cake down?
Apparently, it's the favorite of a few people in Harmony.
I know.
A few people mentioned that's their favorite.
Theresa likes it too, and I'm just
Theresa does like it. Yeah. So Maria's like, see, that's a red flag for Theresa. She likes the tomato soup cake. That girl is crazy. But yeah,
what message is she sending John?
Yeah, what message are you sending
her
John?
Own kids? That's also technically her kid,
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, John's just happy to have his mama in his life, whichever which way he gets her. Yeah. So I think that for him, it's just like, whatever. My mom is here. I got a mom finally. So if I get her this,
I don't think he's invested in like David and her even being together.
No. He's just happy he has a mom. That's all he cares about. He's like, to hell with if they're together or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So David goes to the Bennett home, and this is when he interrupts the conversation between Grace and Sam, saying that John has a fever and that he wants chicken noodle soup. And Grace gets up to go with him, and Sam starts to get angry, and he's like, no, wait a minute, we need to settle this. And Grace is like, and we will later, but my child needs me. And Sam says, I need you. Our children need you. I mean, when are you going to realize that? And when are you going to realize that this family is falling apart? Now, I agree to a small extent. Yes, your family is falling apart, and you do need to like prioritize that you're this. However, if John is sick and running a fever, David comes over. All Grace knows is that David is telling her that her son that she just found out about and just met is sick, and she's missed out on being his mother for all this time. Of course she's going to go check on him. And I actually take a lot of issue with Sam on this, because there have been multiple times where Ivy has like interrupted some really important shit between him and Grace and saying like, Ethan needs you, and he goes.
Right.
Grace has been very understanding of that. She really has. So this really
Grace has been like, you know what? I'm gonna come with you. Let's do this together.
Right. It really, this actually irritated me with Sam. Sam was very irritating to me this week. Because
he's just at his wit's end.
And I get that. He's at his wit's end, but I didn't think this was fair. I didn't think it was fair, because if John is sick and she wants to go check on her son, she should go check on her son her long lost son that she didn't get to raise. Right.
True.
He's like,
I think she should call Eve and get Eve out of that situation.
Hello. Yes. Call Eve.
Save that poor woman from Liz.
She needs some saving. Well, so yeah, Sam saying, I need you. Our children need you. Well, Kay doesn't want anything to do with her.
No.
Jessica's nowhere to be seen. And y'all haven't seen Noah in 4 Christmases.
Noah doesn't even know he has a brother.
Exactly.
Yeah. He hasn't met either of his other brothers.
Nope.
Oh, that's right. He hasn't even met Ethan.
He hasn't met either of his brothers. So to say like, our children need you. No, they needed you before. y'all haven't. Honest, let's be fair. Sam's not the greatest parent either.
Right.
Right. Like, he's not the most attentive parent either. So then Grace says, our family, our children mean everything to me, Sam. And we do have a lot to discuss, but right now, John needs me. Yeah. He's sick. He's running a fever. Then Grace asks David, what was John's temperature? Grace says, what was his temperature? And David says 99.5. And Sam says, that's not a fever. And I agree. It's like, take the blanket off.
Right. Exactly. Drink some cold water. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
You're not running fever, but if he's still not, if he's not feeling well, right? Yeah. I still understand Grace wanting to go see her son who's not feeling well. And so she's like, I've got a digital thermometer. I'll check his temperature, see what it really is, blah, blah, blah. Sam says, Grace, let David take his temperature. It's like, Sam, fucking relax, unwind, unclench, bro. Like,
he hasn't had some in a while.
Yes, and I said that he is very sexually frustrated, but still, imagine if say Jessica was sick, right? Or Kay was sick, and David was like to Grace, no, just let Sam take her temperature. Like, how would you feel about that? Exactly. Come on, please. Yeah. Please. It was just so unfair of him. The way he was treating her was so unfair. And Grace says, no, I want to do it. I was never there for John when he was a little child, and I want to be there for him now. Please understand that. And so she goes off to see John. Sam and David then exchange cutting remarks, cutting words. Did anybody take them down?
Nope.
Yeah, it was just standard. Grace is my wife she's really my wife, not your wife, back and forth kind of thing. And then when Grace comes back, because she comes back after going to check on John, she comes back to get him like some tomato soup cake and some other shit. Sam implores her again to divorce David. He's like, which again irritated me. It's like, we're not having that conversation anymore right now. Like, I'm working on taking care of my kid, And after that, we will continue that conversation. Are you going somewhere? Do you have somewhere to be?
That was my thing with Sam. He was like, yeah, we need to like resolve this now. And I'm like, bruh, this conversation and situation has been going on for months. It is not getting resolved tonight. The problem will still be there tomorrow. Let's take care of this child and then we can talk about this.
I mean,
Yeah.
in his defense, he did start off by saying, I'm tired of sleeping on the couch.
I mean,
Which is fair enough.
That's fine, but you be sleeping on the couch again tonight because this child is sick. Okay.
Yeah.
If this kid was a small child, you would still be sleeping on the couch tonight because that baby would be in your spot in the bed.
Yeah. And I don't know. Where's Charity? She's in the hospital, right? Sleep in her bed.
No.
Nobody's using it. I get he's tired of sleeping on the couch, but he does have other options, and this is her.
Airbnb.
He married this stupid ass bitch. He knew who she was. You're the one who wants to continue being married to this crazy girl. So you're gonna have to take your lumps.
He should actually give her the ultimatum: get the divorce, or I'm just gonna go to Ivy.
Yeah.
She'll let me in her bed.
Oh my God.
That is true.
We can, and this is something we can kind of litigate. And we've been on this for a long time, but we're almost done. So we can, let's go into this for a moment. Yes, he could first of all, ultimatums are never a good idea, ever.
Yeah, no.
In any kind of relationship. But he could say, I have other options.
Yeah, he has other
He could, but it would definitely backfire. Right? Because he has chosen grace. He wants grace. He wants to choose grace. He wants his family. More than anything, Sam wants things to go back to the way they were. They can never go back to the way they used to be.
Yeah.
More than anything, that's what Sam wants. And he has not quite come to terms with the fact that this is the new world order. Right?
Yeah.
Like things are never going to be what they were in episode 1 for your family ever again.
No. He has a kid that he didn't know about. She has a kid that she didn't know about.
Ivy's been trying to get at him, and it's very clear and well known now. And David has been trying to break up their marriage. There's a lot, and Grace has admitted that she has feelings for David. There's so much water under this bridge now. You're never going to be able to go back. You have to cope with what is in front of you, and you have to have a real conversation about how do we move forward. And they were trying, to his defense, he was trying to kind of have that conversation. He is trying to pressure her into doing something he knows she doesn't want to do. But I also understand where he's coming from, because it's like, well, if we got to get around it somehow, this is the only way I can think to get around it. So he is actively looking for solutions, which is something that I cannot say about Grace. Grace is not looking for solutions at all. She wants things to it seems like she wants things to stay the way they are right now.
She likes having two men fighting over her.
She does. And I would get it if she was sleeping with Sam, but she's not sleeping with him. She's not getting any from either of these men.
Yeah.
So,
and she's not like even that torn up that they're fighting. At least Sheridan is like, oh my God, falling on the floor, doesn't want to hurt two people.
Yeah.
Grace is like, yeah, they both love me.
Yeah.
I don't know which one I want.
Yeah.
She's not as torn up about this as I feel like maybe she should be, but yeah,
I don't think she really thinks that she should really realize that Ivy's a huge threat.
Yeah.
I think she knows Ivy's a huge threat. I do think she knows that Ivy's a huge threat. I don't think that she respects Ivy as much of a threat. What am I trying to say? Because I think
you're saying that she trusts Sam.
That's what it is.
Give in to Ivy.
She believes Sam when Sam tells her that there's nothing between him and Ivy. And she said as much, and she said it very pointedly to him. I believe that you don't want anything to do with Ivy, but she has Ivy's number for sure.
Yeah, and as long as she feels like she has that guarantee, she can string them both along.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, Grace isn't really doing it for me, but I did agree with her about John. I was on her side about John this week, but everything else I'm not particularly on her side because, girl, just get the divorce. I get that you want to be married in a church, but you were married in a church. You did that.
Right, exactly.
Check that one off your list, girl.
Doesn't mean you can't do it again. Like,
and why do they both have to not be in love with each other to get an annulment?
They don't. I that's just passion's rules.
She can say I don't love him.
Yeah,
it's just passion's rules. I looked that up. So yeah, they should still be able.
Is love even a thing? For
No,
an annulment? It's not even a criteria.
I don't think so. Let me look it up again and see what it was that I saw. People.
I think one of them is like if one of them ends up like not being able to have kids. You can
There's several reasons you can get an annulment. No, people do not have to be in love to get an annulment, especially in the Catholic Church. Annulment or declaration of nullity. Do both parties have to agree to an annulment? No. So yeah. So both parties don't even have to agree to the annulment. It's like up to the church to decide if they will grant the annulment. If you make a good enough case, which she has an excellent case for an annulment.
She has an excellent case.
She has an excellent case for an annulment. But that's not Grace's fault. This is Passion's bullshit. Because Father Lonigan tore up their annulment papers. Yep. He ripped them in half when David declared that he was in love with Grace. So it doesn't matter because in the Passion's world, you both have to not be in love anymore to get an annulment. But yeah, what were we talking about? These kids, annulment, Sam, Grace, whatever.
Sam,
who cares?
the thread of Ivy. Her stringing them both along.
At the end of the day, it was where we stopped was Grace. I mean, Ivy and David were talking.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's finish this up. I'm almost done. So he asked her to get a divorce again, and she says, no, I don't want to give my grown-ass kids the wrong impression. That's another thing. Your kids are grown. What are you talking? They're not like impressionable little children. They're all basically adults at this point. Jessica's like the youngest one, and I think she's about to turn like 17 maybe. Yeah. So,
and Kay already have sex. Does Grace know that Kay had sex with Miguel?
I don't think
so.
So she still thinks she's just still trying to seduce him, but not that it actually happened.
Yeah,
there's only a few people who know.
Oh, that's right. Not everyone knows.
Yeah, not everybody knows.
Right, because it's a secret. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So, she doesn't want to give her grown-ass kids the wrong impression, which I don't know what the fuck she's talking about, to be honest. And Sam says, what we're doing now, that's the wrong impression. And then Grace says, well, the church says we have to get an annulment, and that's very clear. And Sam says, I don't want some regulation keeping us apart. Yes, she's too rigid in this. She is. She's too rigid in this. And then she says, you know what, Sam? I really don't want to talk about this right now. I mean, my child needs me. My child needs some food. I want to get him some soup. And then Sam, but what about us, huh? What about our kids? Don't you have time for us? It's like, they're not even here. They're not even here.
Literally not even here.
Your children are God knows where.
The only
it's 11 o'clock. You know where your children are? No. Your kids are not even here. Well, our kids need you. No, they don't. No, they don't. They're not here. John is sick, Sam. Come on. He's being such a baby. Yeah. He's being such a baby about her going to see John.
If anybody needs you, it's Charity. She's at least in the hospital.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like Kay.
Who is checking on her right now?
Nobody.
I think Miguel's the only one, and Miguel's still at the hospital.
Miguel. Okay.
And they've left another child with another child.
With a child. Yes. Exactly. So he says, listen, Grace, let's get this out in the open right now. Let's solve the problem and get our marriage back on track right now. We don't have to do it. We can't do it now. It's not going to happen. Like I'm busy. This irritated me because she's busy. Right. Yeah. And she has something to do, and it's important to her. It's important. Maybe her kid is not important to you, but her kid is important to her. And we're not going to get this on track right now. He says, it's not hard. All you have to do is divorce David and remarry me. Let's start our future together right now. And Grace says, Sam, you know what? We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about all of this later. Right now, I really want to get John some food and make him some soup. And then Sam says, let David take him the soup. He's being so unreasonable about this.
Yeah.
Because the B&B is next door too, right? Like, it's not going to take her that long to go take the soup and come back.
Yeah.
But she says, no, I want to do it myself. And Sam says, fine, do what you want. I need some air. Whenever you can fit me in and our children into your schedule, you let me know. And then he storms out of the house. He's being so unreasonable. And then he walks past a window where he sees Grace being comforted by David because he's pushing her into David's arms. Right? And so she's upset. David gives her a hug and he sees that through the window. And that's all I have for them this week. You have anything else to add?
Is he pushing her into David's arms? He wants her back.
He does want her back, but I think you can't. I think if you're being too pushy about something where I'm telling you right now, I'm busy. This is important to me. You're not seeing the importance of what my needs are right now in this moment, which is to care for my child. And you are invalidating that and putting it beneath what your need is right now and what you want right now. It's enough to make you say, yeah, fuck you. Please leave. We're having an argument. We're angry. It pissed me off. It would piss me off.
I think he's also annoyed that everything he's trying to suggest to try to fix the situation is, nope, that don't work. Nope, that don't work. Like, get a civil divorce. At least meet him halfway. At least act like you want out of this relationship with David.
I agree. I do agree with that. No, there's in these episodes, there's blame to go around on how things went with with Grace and Sam, for sure. So, and normally, y'all know I'm not usually a Grace defender, but Sam was being very unreasonable as it pertained to her wanting to go and take care of her sick son.
Yeah.
One of the things he loves about her is how domestic she is and what a great, quote, mother she is, right? It's one of the things he loves about her. So it's like, you think she's going to turn that off?
Yeah.
Just because this isn't your spawn? So. Anyway, y'all got anything else to add here?
No.
It's a long one. We did it though.
Yeah, it was
we
good.
Did it. So
good.
Those of you who really enjoy a long episode, enjoy. I'm not going to split this one up into two because it's our finale for the summer. So
okay.
Yes.
So enjoy this supersized episode. Maria, where can the people find you?
They can find me on the Discord.
And Uche, where can the people find you?
You can also find me on the Discord, but you can also find me on TikTok at Happily Ever Uche.
Very nice
content. That's about it.
All right. Yeah, it's cool Disney content. I love it. It's so cute.
Thank you.
And as always, you can find me on the Discord. You can find me patreon.com/passionspodcast. Again, I will reiterate that I put out some music, so y'all can go and check that out. Check my my artist pages at LT Lee on Instagram and TikTok, I think is what they are. But yeah, go check out my music on if you want to on anywhere you string music. So YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, all those things. And with that, you are my passion for life.